steeple. You damn well know they're one of the people. Nobody breaks us, 'cause nobody made us, and no one can take this 'cause we got their fix. We are the people, we are the people, we are the people. Don't mess with this.
Good morning. It is Patrick and the people, and welcome. We are here and gathered, excited to be here. We got Dustyn Bundy
Yes,
in the
sir.
house.
Good morning, everybody.
And my good friend Matthew is back. What's up, buddy?
Good morning. How's it going?
Man, it is awesome. How have the Bigfoot travails been?
Busy.
Yeah?
He's been active out there.
Yeah?
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you were just telling me about a couple guys that were abducted or something happened to them. They were taken out on
Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve, and a lot of controversy over that.
There is. It hit the news, which is strange for anything Sasquatch to pop up, on the media going across the board. But these two gentlemen on Christmas Eve drove 150 miles to a national forest in Washington State and decided to spend a day researching.
Yeah.
Disappeared. So on Christmas morning, about 1 o'clock in the morning, the families contacted local authorities, saying they haven't been back, haven't heard from them. 3 days later, they find them. They were passed away due to exposure. I'm using my fingers in parentheses. And, yeah, swept under the rug. No names of the guys were released. Nothing. So what's funny about that I find is anybody who does any time in the woods, you're going to pay attention to the weather, especially in the wintertime. You're going to pay attention to your clothing, what you're going to bring. Even if it's for a day, you always got to plan for something.
Yeah.
Now, so that was a red flag to me as well. Then, the search and rescue for that county, that night after they recovered the two bodies, all of their equipment was stolen. Somebody broke in, cut a line through the fence, and stole all their equipment. If it wasn't nailed down, they took it, according to the sheriff's report. There's even a GoFundMe page for that county to, try and get all their equipment back so they can have the money for it and come back.
Wow.
So, but yeah, there's still no names released, no news about it.
Now,
Nothing.
is it possible they didn't take the proper clothing because they were high?
Well, that's a
That's always
possibility. I mean, it is Washington and Oregon.
Yeah,
area.
I mean, a lot of weed over there.
Right.
There is, but the county they were found in as well, they have a law in that county to where it's a $1,000 fine and up to a year in jail if you harm any mythical creature.
I see. Well, how about that?
Yeah. Okay.
So
That's interesting.
Yeah, so it's a hot spot,
Huh.
obviously. And I just found it funny that these two guys, no names out there, nothing.
Yeah.
We were looking, trying to dig into it, and we think we found who one of the gentlemen would have been, but there's no confirmation because nobody said anything about it
Yeah,
on their posts or anything.
Now, we had kind of a theory that I threw out. I mean, it's a random, but we were watching some videos off air the other day, just, after the show, having some fun. And, we're watching these encounters that people had in the wild with different animals, and one of which being a silverback. And then I was talking to another guy, a friend of mine, who was talking about, this was probably, 25 years ago, but that they were, at a deer, in the deer woods, and this guy was in a deer stand and looked over, and there was a monkey a couple
I heard you
trees
tell
away.
this story yesterday.
And he smoked the monkey. I mean, whether he
course.
should or not, but he did,
Of course.
and because I'm sure it was like weird, and, but my thought was, well, sometimes people get monkeys, they get out as pets, but what if it was a gorilla that was living in the wild? I mean, it's not unheard of, is it?
Well, no, so I have a theory on this one too. So back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, when the circuses were huge, they had circus trains going all over the country.
Yeah.
And if you look in your history, you'll see there is a ton of circus train wrecks.
Okay.
A ton. Now, if you look at the circus train wreck and then go and dig into the cryptid reportings in that area.
Some correlation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude,
so
I love
could
that.
be.
I feel like that's the funnest theory I've heard.
That's a good theory.
Yeah, I
do
that.
like that
I
theory.
like it.
I think it's an interesting theory. I
Right.
think it's a plausible theory.
Yeah,
even.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
You
like
know,
I
there's
had,
some plausibility to that.
I had one guy tell me that he knew somebody that saw um, a dead juvenile Sasquatch in the Arkansas River.
Okay.
And my first thought was, no, probably got to be a monkey. It's got
Could
to
be a bear, could be anything. I mean, if it's been in the water long
Right.
enough,
It's
and
gonna
especially if
change.
it was under,
Yep.
you know, the fur can be all dilapidated or partially gone, and that would, you know, create a different looking thing. I mean, I've seen, you know, fish wash up, giant fish or animals wash up out of the ocean that people are struggling to identify because
Right,
they
they
decayed
just look
some and
so
they look
weird, yeah,
alien,
yeah.
you know? So that's interesting. It's a very interesting theory right there.
Yeah, that's one of my theories on the skunk ape, though, where it actually is, because Florida is a hub for all exotic animals coming into the United States.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, that's probably
I mean,
true,
they
yeah.
have a problem down there with pythons. They have a problem down there
Yeah.
with a whole bunch of invasive species.
Yes, yes, they do.
So I do think a lot of our cryptid encounters are misidentification.
Yeah.
So, and then
That doesn't mean that there's no legitimate,
right,
quote unquote, cryptid encounters, right?
right.
Yeah, yeah,
And I'm not going to take away from anybody's encounter at all. I mean, obviously somebody saw something.
yeah,
And so, like when I get somebody and I witness on my show, and we start digging into their encounter, I will throw that out there. I'm going to be like, "Are you sure it wasn't a monkey or
yeah.
what was it?" I mean, let's go
Any
into
number
detail.
of things, right?
Because an eyewitness accounts is going to be their perception of the reality at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sure.
if their mindset they saw Bigfoot, you're going to mentally create Bigfoot in your mind in your story.
Sure. Yeah.
So
Yeah, we recolor our memories
Yes.
often.
Yeah.
You know, that's facts. Well, let's get to just a little bit of news, and you guys feel free, please, to share your thoughts as we go through this. But
Yeah, what you got?
a newly released video allegedly shows the moment a power transmission line sparked the deadly Eden fire. The video filmed by an Arco gas station security camera in Altadena during the January 7th windstorm. And they claim a burst of light that's visible in the footage is power lines from Southern California Edison starting the fire. About 10 minutes after that spark, the fire broke out nearby, and that blaze went on to kill at least 17 and damage 9,400 structures.
Wow.
That's a lot of stuff, man.
Yeah.
Tickets for Super Bowl 59 are cheaper than last year's big game, but still some of the most expensive in Super Bowl history. This year, we'll see the Eagles face off against the Chiefs in New Orleans. It's a rematch of 57. The last stop on the Chiefs' hope to win 3 Super Bowls back-to-back, something that's never been done. Average ticket prices, about $8,000.
Wow.
The cheapest ticket as of yesterday was a little over 5,700. Want 4 of those?
no.
And that's 5,700 probably in the nosebleed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
sitting
probably
way
not
well up there.
good seats. I guarantee you 8,000 is not enough to be on the 50-yard line.
Right.
Of
Can
the
you
Super
imagine
Bowl.
what kind of Super Bowl party you could have for $8,000 at your house?
Oh my God, it'd be epic, and
I'm
I'd have
just saying,
change.
I feel like I would never sit in my seat at the Super Bowl either. Like I would be walking around the whole
Just
time,
seeing
trying
everything-
to catch somebody.
everything
Yeah,
going
yeah,
on,
just taking
yeah.
it in. I would not be sitting down.
Man, you know, I don't think you're wrong about that for me either, because I know when I took the boys to New Orleans to the Superdome a few years back when they were kids. You know, I say a few years, probably 10 years ago now,
Yeah.
to see WrestleMania, and
Oh, nice.
yeah, and we had great, and it was a great WrestleMania because
yeah,
it was the
that's
one
cool.
where the Undertaker was retiring. Everybody was there. The Rock, everybody was
Yeah.
there, man, and
Wow.
so we had good seats, but we weren't in the lower part. We were in that next tier, but I mean, really good seats. But you know, they wanted to see more, and I said, "Well, listen, we can see more, but you got to listen to what I'm telling you and how to follow me and how we got to do this. Okay,
Right.
you got to stay on my heels." And you got to act like you've been there. You got to walk with confidence, okay? And we're just going to walk right down there and go right up to the ring. And that's exactly what we did.
Hell yeah.
You know, the little security guy walked away for a second. I said, now, let's go and walk past. And we just,
Nice.
man, we were down there for a good, I don't know, half hour, you know, just walking around, you know, we're looking for people to catch us or whatever. And, man, we saw so many cool things.
Hell
it was
yeah,
so
dude.
dope to do, you know. But, yeah,
That would be a
that's
lot of
super,
fun.
but it wasn't anywhere near $8,000. I can promise you
Yeah,
that.
yeah. I was gonna ask what those run you.
Well,
about.
I got lucky because WWE reached out and was looking for promotion, and they had offered payment. And I said, listen, I don't want your money, but if you'll give me tickets to WrestleMania, I'll do it for you.
Hell
And
yeah.
so I got 4 tickets to WrestleMania.
Hell yeah.
You know, so I don't know what they ran. They weren't cheap.
Right.
They were good
Did
seats.
you
So
get Dad of the Year award? on
I
that?
think I did on
that's
that one.
cool,
Yeah,
dude. That's
yeah.
cool.
The only thing I ever did, I think, that might have been any cooler than that for them was there was a year that 3 Days Grace for many years was my oldest son Noah's favorite band, and they came to Riverfront, and so somehow, some way, I guess because of my job, you know, I had some special privilege, and so I got to sit there. They had a special setup that year. Only I've never seen it before or since, but they had a separate seating area on the stage itself, where you're up in the air scaffolding, probably I don't know, 15 feet, you know, and so you're looking right at the band. And not only did we get to sit there, but Noah got to introduce 3 Days Grace and bring them on stage.
Hell yeah.
That's
And
awesome.
that was his 16th birthday. It was his favorite band, and that did get me Dad of the Year right there.
Yeah.
That one got me Dad of the Year for a couple of years, I
Yeah,
think.
I
You know,
bet.
I was still,
Probably still are.
well, you know, it was a good time. Let's see, an ocean. No, I don't care about that. Let's, yeah, it's too early.
I trust
Yeah, those mysterious drone sightings are returning to the Northeast now that the FAA listed its 30-day flight ban from Jersey to Connecticut, plus New York, Vermont, and Massachusetts. The unexplained drone sightings are back, along with some videos. New York Senator Chuck Schumer confirmed it Sunday, saying, "We're going to have to look at it." Research company Enigma Labs says it's tallied 650 sightings since November. President Trump addressed it, said, "I'd like to find out what it is and tell the people." I believe that. I believe he would.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a buddy of mine who does a podcast as well up in Indiana. And past couple nights, he sent me some, about 3 nights ago, he sent me some footage of, he's like, "What is this?" And I was like, "Drone." And sure enough, his county, they're showing up. All these reports are coming in of all these drones.
Now,
up
are
in
they
Indiana.
bigger, smaller drones?
Bigger.
Do they look like they're manned or unmanned? Can you tell?
Yeah, and the video looks like this one looks like it's manned. It was
Yeah.
a pretty big one.
Yeah.
But the reports,
Because I think there's a lot of manned drones out right now. The
Mhm.
bigger drones where
Right.
they're, you know, I do suspect that somebody is testing these for public market
I
somehow.
figured it's the Amazon. That was my first.
Oh, Amazon to
Yeah,
like
it's probably
deliveries and stuff.
Amazon,
Could
yeah,
be.
they're
Could be.
probably
They're testing them.
piloting some shit,
They might
you
be
know,
testing
getting
some
ready to
last
put
mile
it out
drone
on us,
stuff
yeah.
or whatever.
Well, my only theory, if they're testing it, it's the wrong area to test it in. I mean, there's a whole bunch
No,
of...
this would be the wrong area.
Yeah, Arkansas, yeah. 'cause
Yeah, no,
otherwise it
you're gonna
dies
get
out.
shot down.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is the wrong area.
Yeah, I have a theory. The reason why we don't have an international airport is because if it flies, it dies in Arkansas.
Yeah. The Palisade and Eaton fires now destroyed over 16,000 structures, among them some iconic movie locations. Palisade Charter High School, that was a campus featured in the series Teen Wolf, the high school party flick. Project X and a 70s horror classic, Carrie, sustained substantial damage. The house used in exterior shots of Freaky Friday has been reduced to a couple cement walls. Will Rogers State Historic Park suffered severe damage. It was a backdrop for a show called Falcon Crest, Knots Landing, the film Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home, and the HBO hit Westworld. Despite the amount of devastation, many TV and film productions are back up and running. Let's see, if you care about Gabby Petito, you remember her? She got murked by her man. That story's coming to Netflix because, of course, it is.
Yeah. I'm surprised it took this long.
Yeah,
honestly.
no, it took way too long, didn't it?
It's been like 3 years.
Miami-Dade County deputy in big trouble after planning a party too hard on a cruise. Deputy Francisco Mello cuffed at Port Miami. He got stopped with party drugs hidden in Skittles bags. Good idea. Bad execution. Passengers were checked out by a drug-sniffing dog before they got on. He was about to get on the ship, which was hosting a dance music festival, when he was busted. The sheriff said the actions of this individual are a betrayal of public trust. My understanding is he had X, you know, and I didn't know that was sniffable by dogs, but
Yeah.
apparently must be.
Dog used to party.
Here you go. O.J. Simpson's estate is involved in a legal dispute with his son,
I read about
Dustyn. Yeah.
that. Yeah, I read about
Attorney Malcolm Laverne, who is the special admin of Simpson's estate, alleges Dustyn used his company to purchase OJ's house while he was living there in 2022, supposedly to protect it from creditor claims. The lawsuit says Dustyn has refused to vacate against OJ's will, indicating it was not intended to be separate from the estate. Laverne alleges Dustyn claims that because his company owns the house belongs to him. Well, it does kind of make sense. Laverne also claims OJ made the house payments himself and Dustyn moved in after his death in 2024. He hasn't responded to the lawsuit. Well, if my company owns it, what difference does it make?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, if I bought it, it's mine, isn't it?
right. You'd think.
I don't know how those laws work, but it seems odd to me. And this looks like a problem. Not a good day for Wall Street yesterday. A lot of tech stocks dropped over the course of the day. What's the blame? Well, the launch last week of something Chinese AI DeepSeek. NVIDIA, which is the most popular supplier of GPUs used by AI, the large language models, saw its shares fall about 17%, lost $600 billion. The single biggest one-day loss for a company in the history of the stock market. Speaking to House Republicans yesterday, President Trump called the app a wake-up call for our industries that we need to be laser-focused on competing to win. Immigration and Customs continued to pick up the pace of arrests yesterday. They took 1,179 undocumented into custody. According to the Mexico president, Claudia Sheinbaum, her country has received 4,094 migrants who've been deported since January 20th. Speaking yesterday, Trump said it's not just illegal immigrants he wants gone. He said he wants to deport repeat offenders who are in the U.S., saying, I don't want violent repeat offenders in our country any more than I want aliens from other countries who misbehave. Well, that's pretty fair. Let's see. The death toll from the wildfire expands to 29. In keeping with President Trump's executive order last week withdrawing the U.S. from the World Health Organization, staff at the CDC were ordered to stop communication with the WHO. Staff at the CDC who are assigned to work for WHO are being told not to come into the office pending further guidance from leadership. At an event, Trump said that the World Health Organization had offered to cut the U.S. funding commitment down to roughly the amount given by China. He might consider rejoining. So in other words, he's saying, yeah, I want to pay the same amount they pay.
Yep.
Which isn't very much, apparently. Get ready for a Google Map update. The company said yesterday it'll update its maps to use the name Mount McKinley and Gulf of America for the currently named Denali and Gulf of Mexico. The executive order signed January 20th ordered the Interior Secretary to make the name changes within 30 days, so Google will update its maps to reflect
You know,
as
I was
such.
wondering how, and I mean, I guess, of course, that's how they make Google change it. Because that's,
Yeah.
I was thinking the other day, I was like, how do you really change it? I mean,
How do you,
people
I
are
mean,
just
everybody's
gonna
still going to call it
the
that.
Gulf of
Yeah,
Mexico.
yeah. But, lots of things have changed their names in history. Lots of countries, lots of different, cities, everything,
Right.
have done that. But it is funny to me that, I think there was a strategic reason behind that legally. I don't remember what
Yeah,
it
no, I
is.
think there is, and like you said, I can't.
Yeah, I don't remember,
repeat it,
but
accurately. But yeah, I think there was a strategic.
yeah,
reason.
well, it's like, a lot of people laugh about the Greenland thing, and I get it. It's kind of funny. But I do understand that Greenland is in a strategic location that basically
Right.
we compete with Russia and China in those waters, and we don't want them because it's too close to us.
Right.
We don't want them over there. So that's part of it anyway. Let's see, a tragedy. No, we'll save that for later. That's we don't do tragedies right now if we can avoid them. Last week in North Charleston, South Carolina, a woman rescued a 3-year-old girl who fell in an icy pond after stepping onto fragile ice. Heather Britt was at the pond with her son, didn't hesitate to dive in to save Mira the toddler, and her dad arrived moments later to help pull them both to safety. Neighbors later helped Mira's family thank Britt for her heroic actions, and were also recognized by the North Charleston PD. Yeah, diving in icy water is no joke, man.
No,
You
not
know,
smart.
No, that's tough. Hey, you might be excited about this. Maybe you won't. I don't know. But this is how you promote a new bass guitar. At the NAMM convention in Anaheim, California, over the weekend. Anthrax bassist Frank Bello talked about his new signature Spectre bass, said it's going to be seen by a lot of people. We have a new Anthrax record. It's been 8 years. He said this bass will be shown everywhere. We're going to start touring. The new album comes out in September, October, so big touring plans. So I guess Anthrax is going to be back at it
Hey, they're
again.
back, baby.
Yeah. Are you excited about Anthrax?
Yeah, sure. I'll listen to it. I'll give it a listen.
You give it a listen. What
Yeah.
about you, Matt?
I listened to it back in the day.
Back in the day?
Oh yeah.
Not going to rush out to get the new one, or
I'll wait till the first single drops.
okay? Then wait till the first.
Because
single.
I made that mistake with another band that I was a huge fan of, and they dropped an album, and I got all excited and totally disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel you on that. Nielsen's come out with their measurements for the most streamed shows of 2024. A lot of big shows last year
Where
that
are we
grabbed
at?
attention, huh?
Where
Well,
are we
we
at?
are number 5.
We're on our way, baby.
We're on our way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Young Sheldon was watched by for 32.08 billion minutes. Family Guy had 42.44 billion minutes streamed. Grey's Anatomy, the second most streamed with 47.85 billion minutes watched. Not one of them by a guy. But it was Bluey
Bluey. Wow.
that got the crown last year. The show racked in a staggering 55.62 billion minutes of streaming in 2024. Bluey, if you don't know, follows the adventures of a blue heeler puppy and her family and is very popular with children.
Very.
Yeah. You.
Oh, I'm a Bluey fan.
Oh, you're
Oh,
a
yeah.
Bluey fan.
I'm a Bluey fan.
So you contributed to that 55.6
We
billion.
sure did. I swear it was on all last year was on repeat.
Yeah,
I've seen
I
every
remember
episode.
that age, for my kids when looping things was something,
Mhm.
where they just watched the same thing
Over
over
and
and
over.
over and over, and you just, man, if I'd seen Elmo and Grouchland one more damn time, man, and I like Sesame Street, but I'm like, man, I can't watch any more of this, man.
And that was poor people problems. Like we had 3 VHS tapes. That's the only 3 we had.
That's right. That's exactly right. An unnamed 25-year-old man from Port Arthur, Texas, being investigated by police and CPS, Child Protective Services. He went viral on TikTok with a video showing him using what police say was a 3-month-old baby to clear the snow off a vehicle last week. While the man hasn't been arrested, police say it's probably going to happen on charges
Oh,
of
my
child
God.
endangerment.
I don't know. I know it's like a bad story. That just makes me
I
laugh.
think
I
it's
a
feel like
video.
that's why I'm not.
It's a funny video.
Yeah,
I
I've
mean, it's
seen the
got to
video.
be. You did?
Yeah.
I haven't seen
There's
the
nothing.
video.
I mean, the guy was being comical about it.
Yeah.
There was no real endangerment. He was.
Yeah.
He put the child on, and just kind of holding the kid.
Yeah.
To be funny. It
Yeah.
was-
Well, some Karen called and said, "Now this
Yeah.
is," you know what I mean? You know how Karens do it.
Gotta ruin all the fun.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. What to know about the Super Bowl? It is coming up.
Oh, my God.
Less than 2 weeks from Super Bowl 59. Here's what you need to know. Chiefs will be going for a record 3rd straight Super Bowl win against the Eagles. No team's ever done a three-peat. The game, February 9th at the Superdome. It's kickoff scheduled for 6:30 Eastern time. It'll be broadcast on Fox, but it won't be available for streaming through Fox. You can stream it at Tubi, which is owned by Fox, and it's free. The halftime show will feature Kendrick Lamar with special guest SZA. I'm still disappointed in this one. I'm
bummed.
disappointed not by
I'm
SZA,
bummed.
but that Lil Wayne, whose home is New Orleans, didn't get
I
the
thought
Super
it was
Bowl.
going to be Wayne. I
It
thought
should be
was
Wayne.
a
Should have been Wayne.
shoe-in, for
He's
sure.
the GOAT.
Like, come on.
He's the GOAT. Come
Come
on,
on.
man. That's ridiculous.
And
But
I mean, what did you think about the Bills game the other night?
what do you mean? What did I think about it?
Well, did you think the Bills got screwed out of it? There was a couple of plays. There was a couple. Did you watch it?
Yeah, I watched.
Did you think it was an interception? I 100% thought it was an interception. Like, how did they give that catch to the Chiefs?
Thank you.
You
So I
got the
missed.
3rd down play.
Was
where
that the
Brandon
one
Allen-
they said hit the ground?
No,
Oh.
in the air, Bills guy had 2 hands on it.
Yeah.
Chiefs guy had 1 hand on it. After they hit the
Oh.
ground, the Chiefs guy kind of rolls on it and grabs the ball from him. The ref gives him the catch.
It's because the ball ended up with the Chiefs at the end of the play. is why.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so that's the reason why it was
I-
not ruled as an
I know a
interception.
lot of people are on the bandwagon of the Chiefs are all getting calls, and I get that. My wife's on that bandwagon real hard right now.
I'm really not on that bandwagon, but this last game, I thought
just
it was
made you-
horrible. I mean,
yeah.
there was like
Well,
four
now I
plays
will
where
not excuse horrible calls,
It
but
was-
I'll tell you that the sheer volume of plays and number of calls, nobody can get it perfect. Nobody
Right.
can get it right all the time, and so I try to leave room for human error. But
Right.
yeah, I hear you on that.
One was a third down spot that would have advanced the Bills. They could have got upfield, could have gave them another chance to score,
Yeah.
but they didn't give it to them. And I hate seeing those calls where it's like all the technology, all the shit we got, and we're missing a ball spot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No,
Like-
I hear you. I think that, Matt, I think might have said it earlier. I think there are penalties that could be called on every single play that happens.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Whether they are caught or not is a different story. I mean, if you could probably break down the footage frame by frame, you'd probably see 50 holds that are never
Yep.
called, know, and so you could argue till the cows come home that, well, there's another missed call, there's a missed call, there's a missed call. So I
Right.
think you could do this ad nauseum, so
Yeah,
you
could
just
go
have to
forever.
decide either you think they're rigged and quit watching it,
Right.
Right.
or you go, you know what, I'm just going to roll with it and
Right.
enjoy it. I'm not going to watch it and say it's rigged the whole time.
Yeah,
Right.
I've got a good friend of mine. He's a diehard Chiefs fan. There's a few games this year that he told me. He was like, I got to be honest, that was a BS call. That should have never been in our favor or anything. And being a Steeler fan, I watched the Chiefs game that we played on Christmas. There was a whole bunch of calls, and I was like fed up. But then I had to stop and think, how can Roger Goodell convince 31 other multi-millionaire owners who make their money on the NFL, on merchandise, tickets, everything, convince him to rig a season?
Yeah, no, I honestly don't think
I'm-
it's rigged.
yeah, I'm
and
not a
I hate
Cowboys
I hate
fan.
the argument that sports are rigged.
You don't have to rig against the Cowboys; they
Yeah.
can't make it.
But can you really picture Jerry Jones being quiet if it was rigged?
Right.
No.
You'd be the first one out there yelling and screaming.
No, I really think it's human error, but
Most of the time,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I'm sure. Look, I'm not going to be naive enough to believe that no one ever tanks something. I mean, come on.
right, yeah, sure.
We've seen teams tank games just to get higher in the draft. So I can't say nothing ever happens. I'm sure it does.
Well, I mean, I think we saw the Chiefs do that to avoid playing the Bengals, right, this year.
Did they?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So
Who
did
they
they
lose
third?
against?
Was it Denver? No.
Oh, so you're
It was
saying
Denver. I
they
think it
probably
was Denver.
lost on purpose so
Yeah,
they
in
didn't
the last-
draw the
yeah,
Well,
last
Bengals?
round.
Mahomes was out. Kelsey was out. They had a couple
They
people
pulled
out.
everybody.
Oh,
They
okay.
pulled everybody. I mean, yeah. I
Put the
think-
backup
Didn't
squad
score
in
a
there.
single point.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, didn't score.
Yeah,
anything.
now it makes sense. Currently on StubHub, the cheapest ticket, well, this is a little cheaper than the other ones, they said, $43.31. Oh, but when you include the convenience fee, it's $51.62. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Let's talk about a stat regarding the clutch performance of Mahomes. Predictably, it's brought out a massive amount of love on one hand and venom on the other. But with all that, comforting to know stats don't lie, Trey Wingo on the Crunch Time podcast offered up this Mahomes stat that's pretty staggering. Since 2001, there have been 125 drives in the fourth quarter with under a minute, and the offense trailing by 7 points or fewer. Of the 125 drives, only 40% were successful. Tom Brady was 5 for 11 in those situations. Drew Brees was 3 for 6. Mahomes is 7 for 7.
Wow.
Yeah, you're talking about fourth quarter, under a minute, trailing by 7 or fewer. He's 7 of 7.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing stat right there.
Another dig I'll take at Mahomes. I think we'll see some rules changes because they started talking about it. And I heard Tom Brady say something.
I
about
do. Yeah, are you talking about the quarterback hit rule?
it. Yeah, the running
Yeah.
out of bounds, the faking the run.
fake
out of
slide.
bounds.
No, I thought you meant, when the rule where, if the quarterback starts to slide, you can't hit him or whatever.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of the same
Yeah,
concept.
because I'm about done with that.
yeah.
Look, I think if you leave the pocket
Yeah.
with the ball, you
Very
are in effect a running back, and you are subject to be tackled as a running back.
Right.
Now, if you slide, fine.
Right.
But if someone's already mid-air coming to tackle you, and you start to slide and they
Yeah.
connect with you, that's incidental contact. You're now a running back.
Right.
Yep.
That is not the same penalty.
And I think something Mahomes capitalizes is he knows that.
Yeah.
And so he will go to fake that slide or fake run.
Oh,
out
I
of bounds.
got you.
And when they let up,
When they
from
bite on it,
pursuing
he
him,
cuts.
then he'll cut and
Yeah.
keep going. It's like, oh man, that's kind of shitty. You
Yeah.
know? We're
Well,
trying to save your neck.
I guess
It's
they are
football
the
smart.
same then, really. I mean,
Yeah.
I think once you're out of that pocket
Mhm.
and you tuck that ball, baby, it's you.
Yeah.
You're the one. You know, you're going to get popped. And
And you
I
see
know
Lamar do it. Lamar will lower his
Oh, yeah.
shoulder and he'll
Oh,
take
yeah.
a hit. You know?
No, I mean, Jalen Hurts,
Yeah,
he loves
same.
to run the ball
Yeah.
and is effective at it. As a matter of fact, I suspect he'll do a lot of that in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. I'm hoping the Eagles can pull it out.
Oh, do
Yeah,
you?
I mean,
yeah.
I'm really bummed to see the rematch. You know, I just want
Yeah.
to see two new teams.
I
in
think
there.
a lot of people may feel that way.
Yeah.
And same between it being a rematch and I love Kendrick Lamar, but I
Yeah,
love
that
to
is
see
aggravating.
Weezy.
Yeah.
Between the whole thing, I'm just
Come
like,
on, man. Tunchi.
Yeah,
It's a
let's
lot
go.
better.
Let's go.
Damn, man. The drama on South Beach continues at the Miami Heat. They've once again butted heads with Jimmy Butler in their nonstop pissing contest, and Butler walked out of team practice. In response, the Heat announced he's been suspended indefinitely without pay. In the past few weeks, this is Butler's third suspension. He was expected to play last night against the Magic. This will last for a minimum of 5 games and go through the February 6th trade deadline. I think he's probably doing it on purpose. He doesn't want to play.
Right.
He's pulling himself out of rotation the best way he can. He's pissed off. He wants to be traded,
Yeah, he wants
and
out of there.
he's going to get traded to somebody. I mean,
Right.
that's almost inevitable. So, all right, there's a little bit of news. Let's see what the people might be saying so far. Latasha said, "Good morning." Good morning, Latasha.
Morning.
Let's see, Brandon. What's up, buddy? Matt needs a mic. I can barely hear him. Yeah, we only have 2, Brandon.
We're
Okay,
working- we're
we only
working
have 2,
together
buddy.
over here.
We're
Yeah.
gonna have to
Sorry,
work
we're
through it.
trying not to, you know.
Yeah.
They're trying not to make out
Yeah.
while
Yeah,
they
they
talk.
know, yeah.
You know.
Sorry, Brandon.
Rich said,
Okay,
good
so
morning.
according to this, to Freddie, Biden signed a bill to stop drilling in the Gulf of Mexico, so Trump changed the name.
It wouldn't surprise me if
That's
that was
fantastic.
if that was
That's-
the legitimate
That's the
reason.
greatest semantic I ever heard in my life. I think that's pretty. Yeah, that's pretty Trump. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, that sounds about right.
We'll just change the name.
All right, let's see what else we got going on here. And you're talking about football, the Super Bowl, and all that. Maybe some of you guys are going to have Super Bowl parties. Are you guys, either of y'all, going to have one?
No, I'm not hosting one. I'm going to be going to a friend of mine's.
Are you?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he's throwing a Super Bowl get together.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What about you, man?
Oh, I'm sure I'll be doing the fire pit outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, sir, you're
So
buddies,
you're
yeah.
the Super Bowl party.
I think every weekend at my house, for some reason, turns into a party.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean,
Well-
it's just like, who shows up?
Yeah, I got you. Well, less than 2 weeks away, we know what the teams that are going to be faced off. Now it's time to talk about how much it's going to cost you to have this Super Bowl party. So it's up 0.1% this year, it says. Food and drinks for 10 people, including fan favorites like beer, chips, guacamole, and chicken wings, will cost about $139. So 10 people, $139. Sound about right? $14 a person?
Yeah, roundabout. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not probably too far off. That's about 10 cents more than last year, according to this. If you try to go healthy, you'll pay more. Big price increases in popular foods year over year include cherry tomatoes, up 12%, avocados, 12%, red bell peppers, 7%. Some veggies that drop, celery, well, who wants it? And broccoli. Chicken wings will cost about 7% more, but shrimp down 4%.
Okay.
Chips and dip, still budget friendly. The price of onion dip increased 1.5%. Price of nacho cheese dip, salsa, corn chips, potato chips have gone down almost 1%. Beer and wine have gone up about 2%. What's the best Super Bowl food? Pizza, chicken, what?
Yeah, wings. You gotta go with
Wings?
classic wings.
Yeah, wings and pizza. Oh, always.
Yeah, that's pretty much a solid hit no matter where you go, I think.
Usually, any Super Bowl party we like go to, everybody just brings their own
Yeah.
dish. You know, so whoever's
Potluck.
hosting isn't. Yeah, it turns into a potluck.
Oh,
It's
that's
a smart
dope.
thing to do.
Yeah, if you have
Yeah.
everybody bring one, that's better and
Yeah,
saves
yeah.
you a lot of money, and
Yeah.
probably smart this time of year to do it that way.
For sure.
Yeah, I want to make a cheese dip and do fries so that we can have loaded fries or stuff like that.
Me and Laura are the assholes that, always say, yeah, we're going to do it, and we do, but we'll just stop on the way at Walmart
Right.
and grab like whatever's close, some cookies, some
Yeah,
cake,
yeah.
something like that, and just show up with, a couple desserts.
Right. No, you're not an asshole for that. That's perfect.
No.
You need that person in the group.
Yeah, well, I am that person. I
Yeah.
promise you.
I'm also that person in the group,
Yeah.
so don't feel bad.
Okay. All right. Now, I saved this story particularly because I thought you might be here, but
All
I
right.
know, Bundy, that you
Okay.
too shall love this
What you
because
got?
All right.
this is just great. This is top shelf. Well, before I do that, let me mention a couple things. Number one, maybe you've been thinking about a vehicle. Maybe that hoopty you're rolling, maybe the heat's going out, or maybe it's just tired and it's ready to go to bed. Whatever the case may be, why don't you roll that hoopty or have it towed or dragged down to Fitz Auto at 8421 Stagecoach Road in Little Rock? Why? Because they're their own bank. They do their own financing. You don't have to worry that you've had some problems in the past, and you're going to get something the kids aren't ashamed of. Okay? You can drop them off right in front of school and not feel embarrassed. Late model, low mileage vehicles. Look, they even have electric cars. Whatever it is that you're looking for, could be an ATV, could be a travel trailer, it could be a motorcycle. It doesn't matter. They've got it at Fitz Auto. Go to fitzauto.com and check them out. And then I do want to make mention, too, that coming up in the 8 o'clock hour, very, very excited. I had a chance yesterday, guys, to interview Scott Edwards. Now, that name off the top of your head won't mean a lot, but this guy has a great story. He's produced some television shows, all kinds of things, but he owned 21 comedy clubs, and
Okay,
he's
yeah, I heard you mention
rubbed
him.
elbows with everybody you can possibly imagine who's somebody in comedy from the 80s to 2000s,
Nice.
so the Seinfelds, the Dana Carveys, the Brian Posehn's, you name it.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's a great interview, so stick around for that. But this, I think we can all have a good time with.
All right, here we go.
A retired military officer. His name is Lieutenant Colonel John Blitch. And I'm sure that name didn't present any problems in elementary. Lieutenant Colonel John Blitch was speaking to News Nation's Ross Coulthart in an exclusive interview where he claimed that he was abducted. Okay?
Okay.
He said he was told by his alien abductor that the body is just a machine that houses the soul, and they can't steal his soul or consciousness. He also went on to say the extraterrestrial was angry with him, but had no intention of causing him physical harm. Now, the most interesting thing is this alien apparently looks like a 7-foot praying mantis, according to him. Yeah, he said it was wrong to perceive any UFO in Earth's airspace as a threat. He went on to detail the experience. He said they explicitly told him they didn't mean harm and they were trying to help him by abducting him.
Yeah.
It was a 7-foot tall praying mantis looking being. It was upset with me. He was chasing me. It came through the door, was standing over me. I was terrified, frozen, paralyzed on the bed. He was looking at me very intently and explained, look, this body you've got is just a soul housing group. It's a brain housing group, a machine that your soul occupies. And so, yeah, we're going to mess with it. We're going to get up under the hood. We're going to adjust the carburetor. We may swap a couple parts out, but we can't steal you. We can't steal your consciousness, so quit screaming and let us do our job.
Sounds terrifying. You got an oil change from ET.
Oh gosh.
He said, here's the thing as proof that
That's
this
what clothing is.
this was, he says his mandibles were kind of behind a casing or shell opened up, and he starts grabbing chunks of my cheek and he's ripping it, and there's blood splattering on the wall. And I'm feeling the tug. I'm feeling this flesh, and the whole time he's conveying, see, we can't get your soul. We can do a lot of damage to your body. He asked if the physical damage to his cheek was real, but Lieutenant Colonel Blitch said, no, I felt the tugging and had a visual, but it's a false fuzzy memory. So what, guys? What are your thoughts
I
here?
have a lot to unpack on this one. Real quick.
Okay, let's go.
All right. So first off, the praying mantis entities have been reported before.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's about 7 different alien species that visit our planet.
Okay.
Yeah, and like reptilians, the Nordics, the typical greys, even the praying mantis ones are
The
starting
typical greys are the
to,
big
little
head,
short
big
guys,
eyes.
with big eyes.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a whole bunch, and the
When
UFO
did they go
community-
gray? They used to be green. Did they change color?
Well, green only came in the comic books.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
so
right.
so the little green man came from media hype, pushing everything out there. Little green man from Mars. That was the whole.
So they were like, we were never green. We were gray, bitch. Stop.
Exactly.
Okay, I got you.
So and and I hate laughing at that because if the guy actually had, this guy actually had a full blown encounter with something that apparently scarred him for life, and they are. I'm not the UFO expert at all.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
really. I'm not. I mean, my forte is more into the cryptids. I got a good friend of mine who is into the UFO thing a lot, but with these encounters when they come in, I'm not gonna lie, I would have freaked out too if some 7-foot praying mantis was walking through my door and
sure.
and been paralyzed in my bed.
Yeah.
And with it saying that your mind and your consciousness and your body, we can do what we want to do and everything. That happens a lot, but and this where it can get really weird because people believe that they're doing experiments on us, which they've been doing it for a long time. So what more can they keep doing experimenting on? And then it gets into biblical references. It gets into a whole bunch of strange, like I said, the UFO community go down. I'm trying to shorten it down that way it's not an hour-long
Sure.
episode.
Yeah, I
about
got you.
Just poor guy's encounter. But
Yeah, you can go down rabbit holes for.
okay,
for
cool.
days
Because
at
it could
a
end
time.
up. It could. Yeah, there's people saying that these beings are coming in are part of the Nephilim, and this coming in through the Nephilim
Right.
of the
You
Bible.
can get
and-
real deep.
What do you, Bundy? What are your
what do you
thoughts?
think?
Like
Thank you.
like Matt, and really, I got a question for you out of it. Is being someone who's an enthusiast, I guess I consider myself a conspiracy or UFO or enthusiast. Probably not as much as yourself, but how do you keep the line? Because you want to give everybody their credibility and not discredit anybody off the bat, but you have to have a line somewhere. How do you, as somebody is as big of a part of your life as all of it is, how do you keep a line? Because yeah, sure, there is credibility, but at the same time,
There's
there's
a lot
also
of
some
bullshit.
wackadoos.
Yeah,
that
there's a
are
lot of
full shit.
wackadoos for sure.
So where do you draw that line as somebody who talks about it every day?
So I have to draw a line when it comes down to. I'll do a pre-interview before I actually put
Right.
anybody on my show. I'll do a pre-interview, and you can tell. You can also tell, and it's the tone fluctuation, how they go into the encounter, how they kind of break it down for you, and you're almost doing an investigation. If that makes
Right.
sense.
Right.
And for the most part, if people are willing to come and talk to you about an encounter, if they'll pull you to, when I do a meet and greet, and the last one I did, I had a couple people say, "Can I talk to you for a minute?" and pull me to the side.
Right.
They're kind of embarrassed. So
Yeah.
if they come across a little bit of embarrassment about it, then that's kind of where okay, so you have
Right. They're not
story there.
eager to come to you like, hey, dude, look what I saw. They're not like bragging about it. It's not something they're.
Now, if they're an enthusiast, so let's say Patrick's an enthusiast. So let's say Patrick does, he believes in Bigfoot, so he's going to go out in the woods. He wants to go looking
Right.
for Bigfoot. He has an encounter, and he comes in and goes, "Dude, you're not going to believe what happened to me this weekend, or what happened to me 5 years ago. I had this
Right.
crazy thing." That's where you have to separate what kind of person they are. So when you
Right.
do the pre-interview, and I will ask questions. How was your religious upbringing?
Mhm.
I will ask that.
Right.
What's your relationship status?
Mhm.
What's going on at home, and that will break it down because the mind, like I said earlier, you're going to project your truth on an encounter.
Yeah. Right.
So let's say you're in the house and you see stuff moving around. Automatically now, because of all the TV shows and we have out there, is, my house is haunted. There's more
Right,
likely
right,
you're just catching something out of the corner of your eye. And
Yeah.
in the woods, when you're out looking and you have an encounter in the woods, generally it's not. But to that person,
Right.
they had an
Perception is
encounter.
reality, right?
Yeah. So
So here's what I'm going to tell you. And I thank both of you guys for your honest opinions there. Not long ago, my wife, we woke up on Saturday, and we just got out of bed, and she was very, very angry with me. And I didn't really understand, how we didn't go to bed, Matt. Why are you waking up, man? What's the problem here? Well, as we proceeded to, as I gnawed on my McGriddle, she told me that apparently I had cheated on her in the dream that she had the night before, and she couldn't shake it. Sleep paralysis is something that happens. It is a phenomenon.
Yep.
Right.
And so if you have some crazy vivid dream and you suffer sleep paralysis, you could in fact feel as if there's a 7-foot praying mantis standing over you, telling you that it's going to eat your cheek and take your soul or whatever it may be.
Right.
And so my theory is perhaps that these, very powerful dreams that do invoke emotions in us. I'm sure both of you have had dreams where you woke up and you felt damn sure it was real.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And sometimes so real that you have to sit there a minute and try to gather yourself and go, wait a minute, what's the real world here?
Right.
And so I wonder how much of it might be something like that, because this guy's talking about being in bed. He's talking about the praying mantis comes over him. He's standing in his, it's not like he got pulled up to the ship this time.
Right.
He's in his bed.
To be honest, that's the first I've ever heard. I mean, I've seen it depicted, I guess, but I didn't know it was a legitimate.
That it was a common thing.
The praying mantis.
I didn't either. It's the first time I've heard of it. Yeah.
Well, on the sleep paralysis, too, though, everybody does. When we go to sleep at night, we do. Because if not, we're going to flail around. So we are going to have that sleep paralysis. And if we do have the vivid dreams, it can play like perfect. I mean, you get the nail right on the head. For a lot of these, I do believe are the same thing.
Right.
So it is a vivid dream. That's where the pre-interview comes to place at.
Does this mean that aliens couldn't be psychic travelers that still show up in that scenario?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if they can invade our psyche through unconsciousness.
I don't like that part. I don't want to believe in that, because I don't want to think that there's some kind of creature out there that can evade my thoughts.
Right.
Yeah, well, my wife does a good enough job, so I'm sorry.
No,
I'm going to get in a lot of trouble for that. I shouldn't have said that.
I was interested in your take, because there is some people you tell the story that share their story, and you're like, oh man, there's not a question. I feel like that person is telling the truth. Like, they seem like they are, and then there's some that's like, I don't know. I feel like you're a little too excited about that.
No, some people
forthcoming.
Look, I've seen pilots who've told stories of unexplained things they've seen.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't necessarily, again, to me, mean it's alien, but it meant it was alien to them.
Right.
They don't know what it is. They don't know
was.
why it's doing. It's performing in a way, physics-wise, that they're not familiar with.
See, I think those are organic UFOs.
Organic meaning?
Meaning it's a living creature.
Oh.
So I think we talked about this sometime, earlier.
Like Superman?
Yeah. Well, no. NASA did a study. They sent a balloon up. They have a little thing that can collect microorganisms.
Okay.
And they sent a balloon up to see if there's anything up there.
Okay.
And they found microorganisms that match the same thing that we have in the sea.
Mm-hmm.
So there's biology for manta rays, and I'm gonna screw it up. I'm gonna give the wrong information out. I have a friend of mine who runs Crypt as a Corn podcast, and he actually wrote a book on this.
Mm-hmm.
So about maybe 15% of all UFO sightings are actually these organic creatures, like the Kentucky meat shower. You hear all about.
That's a sex move, right?
No.
The Kentucky meat shower sure
Only
should
the
be.
Urban Dictionary.
I've got that VHS tape.
Yeah, I watched that a couple times on the hub.
Yeah.
But no, there was a town in Kentucky in the late 1800s, and meat fell out of the sky.
Okay.
Just rained down.
Yeah.
So, and people, there's funny.
What about this possibility when you're talking about microorganisms? And again, I'm just a science guy, but you think about the amount of real estate the ocean takes up, which is what, 4/5 of the planet, something like that. Is that about right?
Yeah,
4/5 of the planet somewhere is water. I mean, would it not be possible as water evaporates up into the air, into the atmosphere, that it pulls those microorganisms with it?
Very possibility. We can get into also to where, see, I'm getting religious again. So the Old Testament's a big hobby of mine.
Oh, okay.
It really is. I think there's a lot more history featured in the Old Testament about our world than people want to give it credit for.
Okay.
And I'm probably going to upset some people out there, and I apologize in advance. It's just my opinion, though. So, I mean,
Okay.
don't take it for
Go
fact.
for it.
I mean, if they are, they are.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you say something too crazy.
But, it does say in the Bible, as below, same as above as below.
Okay.
So there are, NASA it is proven, there are organs up there to where it is a possibility of the evaporation thing taking place and moving them up there. But they also grew.
Okay.
And if
So
you
you
look
say
at,
they're living in
they're
the
living up in
environment.
the upper atmosphere. The
Yeah.
funny part about it is the movie Nope.
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't seen that one
It
yet.
reminded me of that. As soon as
Okay,
you brought it up.
so the theory was coming out before the movie Nope. Nope comes out. The funny part about Nope is this: in the credits, they give credit to the U.S. government
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
for funding and everything
Right.
for this movie.
Yeah.
And it's on the main basic concept of a living organism up there. Not that big, obviously, or it's just going to come down
You
and
said
eat
you
us.
you said you hadn't seen the movie, but essentially the basis is there's a giant UFO behind a cloud, and they figured
Yeah.
out, well, no, it's a giant alien, not a giant UFO. So
Okay.
that's kind of the
Okay.
premise
Gotcha.
of the whole
Gotcha.
movie.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
It'll
Okay.
come down and eat you. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Very well done. Very well
So
written.
that gives me even a little bit more cause for concern, because anytime the government funds something, then I think, well, is this propaganda?
Yeah, exactly.
So why are they
Right.
Or
funding
soft
it?
disclosure.
Why are they funding it?
Right.
And maybe they fund it to keep us feeling like, oh, well, maybe there is something out
Yeah,
there. I don't
right.
know. I'm not
Just kind
sure.
of play with us.
Well, the government came out during 2020 and said that, yeah, there are well, they're calling them UAPs. And,
Well, right. They're just unidentified. They don't know what it is.
Right. And then they came out and said, yeah, there are beings with these craft as well. They came on out in a Senate hearing,
Mm-hmm.
a couple years ago. So the government has been slowly coming out and saying, yes, 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 yes. And those of us in the community were going, yeah, we know.
I know that the number 47 says that whatever's back there, he's going to get it out.
Yeah.
That's what he says. Now, we'll see if that happens.
Right.
I wanna
I'm
see the
sure there
MLK
are
and
powers
JFK
that be
files.
that don't want that out, right?
Oh yeah, I'm sure you're pumped about that stuff coming out.
Yeah,
This is
I
JFK
I
files?
want to see
Feeds
the
into your
MLK and the
world,
JFK.
yeah.
Well, I'm not big into the conspiracy side of the house. I'm really not, because I can't believe that everything out there is all government conspiracy, is all this, it's all that. I do think there's a lot of cover-ups. I like that we were
Yeah.
talking about up there that took place in Washington State. And there has to be a particular reason why there's a cover-up. If you think about it, too, though, if all of a sudden they would come out and say, yeah, we're being visited by all these aliens, all these creatures are real, this planet over here or this interdimension over here is opening up and things are coming in, we're going to have a collapse. Our society is not built and designed to handle
accept
that.
something like that that's so
Yeah.
unpredictable and unfathomable.
Exactly. Yep. Because
Okay.
it'll shake up religion and it'll shake
Yeah, I think
up the
that's
basis of everything up.
It
Right.
might, but then again, I mean, that assumes that we somehow have control over what they do when they get here.
Right.
And
Right.
that's a big thing to say, is that, I mean, I don't know, is it the president who goes, listen, if you come out here, I'm going to mess you up bigly.
Yeah.
What happens? How does he stop them? You know what I mean?
There's-
They're like, we don't care. We have lasers.
Yeah,
Okay,
we
we'll
got here
smoke
from a
your
million
blonde
miles
hair.
away.
We'll
Allegedly.
smoke that wig.
Allegedly, Ronald Reagan signed an executive order to where any UFO that entered our airspace was to be shot down.
Yeah. Well, I believe that.
No
Yeah.
lie. And I believe that from Reagan.
No, I believe that. I mean, he liked to shoot stuff down. That was
And
his
allegedly,
bag.
they did. Allegedly, the
Yeah.
U.S. Air Force shot down, I think, 2 to 3 UFOs during the 80s. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, let's. I know
Sorry.
that. No. You're good. You're good. Let's see what if anybody's saying anything, and then we'll move on to the next subject here. No, they said, Matthew, you're probably smoking crack. No, I'm kidding. Nobody said that. Nobody said that. Excuse me. All right. Well, let's talk about something completely different. First impressions, pretty important in dating, I guess, especially online. Takes people seconds to swipe. While that can be great if someone's blown away by your beauty or your witty bio, but there are things that will prevent you from getting swiped on, and new research calling out the worst offenders. This new study reveals the biggest Tinder turnoffs for women. These are the deal breakers that make female users on the app more likely to swipe left than right. All right. Men not having pictures of themselves. The top complaint, obviously not including pictures, it'd be a fake but I think that goes both ways. I'm not
Yeah, for sure.
engaging. I won't even accept you on a friend request if you don't have a
not at all.
profile picture. I mean,
Right.
much less anything else. I assume you're a scammer.
Right.
Yeah, why wouldn't you have a photo? I mean, come on. We already have to try to figure out which of your photos are real.
Right.
His bio's too cocky. Confidence is attractive, arrogance not so much. Unclear pics. That goes with no pics. Vulgar pickup lines. Yeah, no, if you're saying stuff in your Tinder, profile that's nasty, then that's what's going to happen. Speaking of that, this is crazy. So,
What you
yeah,
got
I
to
just
say?
sidetracked myself because
no,
I
saw
remembered
that
it.
spark
Yeah.
up. What you
Man, we were sitting at the house. I guess it was maybe Saturday, and Laura had a friend over, her girlfriend, and we were hanging out. We're talking. They run to Walmart to get something. I don't remember what, and I'm sitting there just minding my business, watching something mindless, and they pop back in, and she's like, "You're not going to believe this," and I'm like, "I probably will. Go ahead." And she said, "So we're in Walmart," and Tiff goes, "Look," and she goes, "Sure enough, somebody who's on Facebook, whose messenger," he said, and we all have people. I'm sure, I can't say we all do. I suspect a lot of people have people like this, people who will repeatedly message you, but it's like a wave and nothing else, or
right. Yeah.
just
Something
a hi,
to that.
and that's it.
Yeah.
And
something
you
to
may
that
even
extent.
respond, they may not respond, they may,
Right.
but they just keep doing it over and over.
Y'all are getting waves? Sorry.
Yeah, right. Well, this person had done, I guess, the wave multiple times. She said it had been going on for weeks or whatever. And, look, she's single. She's not interested. She's just whatever,
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, she gets a video, and it's dude's dong, or a picture. Maybe it's a picture even.
Right.
And it was a D pic, and so she's like, why would you ever send me this? Why would you send? I didn't ask for this. And he said, well, you wouldn't respond any other way. Like, so that's your Hail Mary?
Right.
You wouldn't respond to anything else? I said, yeah, I would have. Yeah. You know what? I'd like to meet you. Why don't you?
Exactly.
Let's meet. I want to meet you. How would you
say.
like to meet? Let's say, why don't you come to this address and meet
That's
me?
exactly what I was about to
And
say.
then
You already know, for somebody to do something like that, they're an idiot.
Yeah,
anyway, let's go.
You
ahead.
got an ass whooping
I want
coming.
to see that in person.
Yeah, I want to see. Let me see more of that. I'd like
And
to see all angles
person
of
would
that.
be like, okay,
Yeah.
sure.
And then step up and get that ass beat like it
Right.
deserves to be.
Yeah.
Don't send nobody wants your D
No.
pic.
Oh, man.
Do you understand those aren't very attractive in general terms? I mean, they're just not. I never understood why guys are like, I'm just going to send a picture. Is it in a cowboy outfit?
Right.
Is it wearing a Chiefs jersey? Why? What's the deal with it? I mean, why are you sending this to me? I don't want that D pic. It's like, whoever thought, they'll like this.
Yeah.
They don't. They really. I've never met one girl who went, I'm so glad this D pic right here. I got this one right here. That's my husband. That's how we met. He sent me a D pic, and you know what? We've been together forever
I
now.
was about to say, I can't imagine sending one to my wife. Much
No.
less a stranger you're trying to hook up with. Like my wife
Man,
would be
listen.
like, what
When
the
I
hell
was
are you
probably
doing?
when cell phones first came out, and I was younger, and people were doing that. I tried for a good 5 minutes to get an angle I thought was worthwhile.
You can't
And
make
then
it
I
happen.
said, no, I'm never doing this. This is just no good angle for that, really. You
had to
can't
wait
make
till
it
that,
look like anything but what it does,
Yeah.
which isn't all that attractive except for its purpose.
Oh, man. You had to wait for that panoramic. setting
That's
to
right.
come out.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Being mean while claiming to be honest. In other words, giving backhanded compliments can make guys seem rude or insincere. Flaunting your wealth. Only posting group pictures. Poor grammar and spelling. Some people do. It might be a thing for them. You got to understand. Over messaging or getting clingy. That's probably a top one right there. As soon as she says, yeah, I'm interested, you blow her shit up like a
Right.
terrorist.
Right.
It ain't gonna happen, bro. You're done. You got to pace yourself, before you get obsessive. Deceptive or overly edited photos. And call me crazy. Do guys do that as much? Do you think? Do guys filter or edit photos as much as girls? And I'm not trying to be misogynistic on this. I can't. I mean, maybe for humor I've done it, but
Right.
I've never like taken my profile pic and went, let me put this through a filter and slim up my cheeks, and
Right.
you know,
Yeah.
let me hold my phone way up here and look skinny when I'm not.
That's why I grew a beard.
Yeah.
This is my filter.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. That's a good one.
So I was kind of ignorant. I completely had a misconception of filters. I just thought they went as far as, when you post a picture on Facebook or Snapchat, it'll give you like 5 filters down at the bottom. They just kind of change the lighting.
Yeah.
And I
yeah.
thought that's what filters were.
Right.
And no, dude, they go way deeper and way than I was
No,
aware
man,
of,
you can
so.
go on Snapchat. I guarantee you right now, you can probably go on Snapchat and find a filter that will turn you into some kind of Nordic god.
Right, right.
You know, change your jawline up, make you look all sexy and stuff. Matter of fact, I'd be willing to bet, hold on, because I remember when I made the intro, the first intro that we had for the show of all the silly Snapchat filters, I was just scrolling through my phone the other day and I saw those videos and I went, oh, here's one. Look, that is not me in any possible way, but that is me. You know what I mean? And if ever here, I'll try to show you.
Yeah,
There it is. Look at that angular jawline right there. Real, looks like an alpha male that it would just take your clothes off and take you.
Right.
He wouldn't even ask, and you'd like it, but that ain't
Literally
me.
The guy from that show on Amazon, the superhero one.
Archer?
No, not
No.
Archer. No. Where they do the superheroes right there at the end of my. It's not for kids.
What is?
It's where they show like the dark side of superheroes.
Oh, The Boys?
The Boys, yeah.
Okay.
The American guy. What's his name?
Okay.
You kind of look like him on that little.
Well, yeah, but that ain't me. That ain't my photo. That person looks like him. I look like this. This is what I look like.
It's what AI says you should look like.
Yeah. But well, check this out then. Americans are apparently losing interest in sex, as a government study has found, with an astonishing age group leading the no nookie trend. Rates of sexlessness are climbing from coast to coast among adults 22 to 34. Statistics, which come from the National Survey of Family Growth, showed that 10% of young men, 7% of their female counterparts say they're still virgins. In some, for young adult males, sexlessness has doubled across all measures over the last 10 years or so. For young adult females, it's risen by 50%.
They're not using filters.
Yeah.
That's what it is. So it says the survey conducted annually by the CDC and Prevention National Center for Health Statistics. Researchers conducted face-to-face interviews with American men and women, 15 to 49, collected data from bedroom behavior to reproductive health habits. Besides the fact virginity appears to be trending, the numbers also showed big jumps in sexually active men and women, 22 to 34. Well, but that says it's dropped. 24% of men, 22 to 34, had not had sex in 2022 and 2023. That's up 9%. For females, it was was 13%, up from 8%. When asked if they'd had sex in the last 3 months, 35% of men said no. Another big jump from 20%. Women 31% to 20 from 21%. So what's going on? Why is there less sex happening? What's going on?
I think there's a lot of factors, but I don't know. I definitely believe it. I work with some early 20-year-olds, out of state, and you definitely see it in those guys. A couple of the guys, they didn't have their first girlfriend or first romantic encounter until after high school.
Really?
I heard that from multiple guys, and it was just really surprised me. And
does it tie in at all with the fact that kids or teens, I should say maybe, aren't even wanting to get their driver's license so fast? Some of them maybe 17, 18, 19, 20 before they get it. Does that part of it?
I 1,000% think so. The
Yeah.
driver's license specifically, it gives you so much more freedom. You kind of, for me, honestly, driver's license and virginity happened
Yeah, they went hand in hand.
Yeah,
That's
it
what I was thinking. Look, I had a learner's permit, and I was only supposed to drive so far, but
Right.
I had a Z28, and a girl a mile up the road, I wanted to see that. You know what I mean? The whole reason I wanted independence was to get out of the house and do whatever I wanted
And
to
see
do.
girls. Yeah.
And I look, I had a permit at 14. I tried to get a hardship license at 15, couldn't. But as soon as my 16th birthday hit, boom, I had a license and I was gone, son.
Yeah.
I mean, I was gone.
Mm-hmm.
I literally moved out.
Right. Yeah.
I was
right.
gone.
Right.
Well, let's talk about maturing then. I mean, because our generation, Patrick, we were matured earlier.
We were what?
We matured earlier. So we were more in a,
Do you think
independent thing. So we had to grow up a
Right.
little bit faster, if that makes sense.
Why did we mature earlier, do you think?
Because of the way life was at that time.
Yeah.
Nowadays we have, we can do this. So every answer you have, everything you want is going to be right here.
Right.
Where they don't need to have that. They get validation on social media, and which is more important, it seems, than to actually have validation in person.
Yeah, and here's a couple. Let me take that a little further because I think to some extent there you're right. If I wanted to talk to anyone, friend or girl, it was the house phone, and that phone was used by everybody in the house. And at any point they could pick it up, listen, whatever. So you could only say so much,
Right.
Second, if your friend wasn't home, you just had to go drive. I mean, they may not be there. But also, I think that parenting style has changed dramatically, and good and bad. Okay, because my parents weren't my friends,
Yeah.
and any
same.
really at all.
Same,
My mom closer than my dad, but still, ultimately they weren't my friends,
In
and
no
they would
capacity.
often tell me that.
Yeah.
I'm not
1,000%.
your friend. I'm your parent,
1,000%.
and this is how it is. And they were pretty damn strict about things that, and there were parents that were stricter than mine, but mine didn't play.
Yeah.
And they would beat that ass. Especially my dad would beat that ass. My mom would tell me my dad was going to beat that ass, and I had to think about it all day until he came home and, in fact, beat that ass. But fast forward to me as a parent, my kids don't feel that way.
Right.
They didn't feel like they had to get out and escape. Like, I'm tired of being beat on. I'm tired of being yelled at.
Exactly.
Now, am I fell for that? I don't know yet. I hope not.
Right.
Yes.
I hope not.
No.
But I do think that's got to be part of it, right?
Well, our parents push us to be independent.
Yeah.
Our parents, and we would get, if we did something stupid, we got punished for it, and that was part of it. That was part of the independence part. If you do dumb stuff, you pay a consequence.
Win stupid prizes,
Yeah,
right?
win stupid prizes. And like you said too, though, you had to pick up the phone to call. But before you can even make that phone call, you had to talk to them first in person.
Yeah,
right.
that's
There
right.
had
That's
to be
right.
like
That's
a
right. No,
hey.
that's true.
There had to be
There
a
was
human
no
interaction.
social media. And here's the good and bad of that. I remember when I was a kid and went to Bryant, for example, because I didn't care in elementary and junior high about sports that much or rivalries, But once I got into high school and the football rivalries existed, I hated everybody that went to Benton because they went to Benton.
Right.
I hated everybody that went to Bauxite because they
Right.
went to Bauxite.
Yeah, that's the only
If
reason
you
you
didn't
needed
go
it.
to Bryant, I hated you.
Yep.
There was no reason for me to hate you, but I hated your
We're
guts.
rivals, baby.
Yeah, you're my rival. I don't like you. I don't want to be around you.
So I
You know?
felt the Bengals.
Yeah,
Ravens
right.
and
I
the
get you. I
Browns.
get you. Yeah. It's like Ohio State, Michigan fans,
Yep.
But nowadays, when fast forward to my kids, because of social media, they were friends with everybody. Kids in every damn school.
Right.
There was
Yeah,
no hate
Yeah.
like that. There was just blind hate for no reason.
Right,
It's just
right.
the rivalry that we were, and the same though with talking with potential. I don't want to say love interest, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
Yeah, we
At that
know what you're
age, it
saying.
ain't really love. You may think it is, but we didn't have a means to communicate like that. We were just saying the other day, and a lot of people probably don't remember this, but at one point, the version of online dating was the classified section of the newspaper.
1,000%. 1,000%.
Oh yeah. Okay. I never.
Putting out ads.
Yeah, no, it was.
dude.
People would put out ads.
Single female,
Yes,
single male,
absolutely.
35, in search of.
That was the
So do
closest
you like pina
you could get.
coladas?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. And dumb things like that would
Yeah.
be said, and relationships made and abductions happen. But
Something I think contributes to the whole thing too is and it's seen as a negative, almost seeking attention. But I
Mhm.
feel like that was my main driver. I wanted attention from a girl so bad.
Sure.
I had to interact with her, or I wasn't going to get attention. Now everybody gets attention. Everybody's online. Everybody has their own page. We're not starved for that human interaction
Right.
that we
Right.
used to be.
No,
You
no,
know
you
what I
can be
mean?
in your room
Yeah.
by yourself and still be
Right.
getting interaction, validation, interest,
And if
all
anything,
of
it's
that.
made us nervous or anxious, I feel like, in person to
I
person
I have
settings.
noticed that
Yeah.
that is one area where, my boys do fine. They do
Mm-hmm.
good. They have great in-person skills. They're friendly, they're affable. But at the same point, I do know relative to where I was at their age,
Yeah.
they lack a certain amount of confidence.
Right.
Now, was
And
my
they're speaking-
confidence earned? No.
Right.
No, I had no business being that confident.
Right.
But I was. And that led to me reaching for things I probably shouldn't get and getting them.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you don't know better and you're overconfident, you'll
Right.
try for all kinds of things
Right.
that, maybe you get, maybe you won't. But we were pretty driven at
Right.
that point, I think, to get out, to be independent, to work, to provide for yourself and take care of yourself so you can get the hell out of this, prison situation at home,
Right. Right.
And that's not hating on parents. That's just how it was.
Yeah.
Well, we also had work pride. I mean, you got your own business.
Right.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And what you're doing right now as well. And I went to the military.
Yeah, I did as well. Yeah.
So that was my work pride.
Yeah.
And it was something that we were proud to do. And
Yeah.
a lot of the generation, there's really no drive. Like my little boy, all the time, he's like, I want to be a YouTuber. And I have a hard time going, no.
Right.
Right. Well, you're a YouTuber.
So, but now it didn't help me with that.
I want to be like you, Daddy.
Yeah.
He goes, you're a YouTuber. I was like, no, I just put my audio. I don't have video. I just do audio. But to him, he's like, this is so cool. And I'm like, all right. So trying to show him that it takes hard work.
Mhm.
And-
That's what lots of people, especially when it comes to, I think, fame or social media fame, whatever you want to call it, is as much as you'd like to knock some of these folks, they do work.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
if you're successful on social
100%.
media,
100%.
you are not lazy
No.
Yeah.
because you have to nonstop
You
produce
gotta put it in.
content.
You got to put it in.
And so there is work going on. It's just a different kind of work.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
because when I started the show, I didn't, I'm not going to lie. I made fun of the YouTubers. I made fun of all of them. And then I kind of realized there's a lot of effort that you don't see that they're putting into a lot of effort afterward,
Mhm.
a lot of work. And that's your lifestyle.
Yeah.
And it is a working, I don't think you can hear me now. It's a working lifestyle.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and like with me, I do work a normal job. I get a chance to come on here with you every other week.
Yeah.
And then when I'm not at work, I'm talking to potential interviewers. I'm talking to other shows. I'm talking to, I'm networking. I'm trying to get my show out there some more. So it's a nonstop, work. And same thing. I mean, you're working. I think you're working like 8 days a week. 'Cause I see it
Yeah,
all the
no, a
time.
lot of people will make that observation. I work a lot.
You do.
I mean, I do.
But also at the same time too, I think that we're still chasing that dream.
And you know what's weird about that though, y'all? What's weird about I probably work as many or more hours than most do,
Mhm.
and I still feel like I don't do enough.
Same.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yep.
Hell yeah.
And that's a product of my upbringing, I guess.
Yeah.
And I'm not
Well,
saying
yeah.
that's a positive, but
And
I don't ever feel like I always feel like there's something more I could do.
Well, and I've always said this about you. That's the entrepreneur. Like, truly, you're an entrepreneur. I mean,
Well,
you were a
thank you,
radio
man.
DJ forever and all that, and people identify you a certain way. But I've always thought of you as a sole entrepreneur, and that's one of the biggest things I favor from you because I consider myself an entrepreneur.
Well, thank
So-
you. That's
Yeah,
very
Yeah,
kind of you to
1,000%,
say. That's super
1,000%,
kind.
yeah.
Thanks. I
And
didn't
that's,
ask
I
for
feel
that.
like that's something people with that mindset have. Yeah, dude, you can work until you got 3 hours of sleep every night, do shit all day, every day. There's still that bug in you, that drive. that
It
says,
is,
man. I
man.
gotta do more.
It
I
is.
gotta be doing
It's
more.
I mean, nonstop.
Yeah.
It's a voice that's like, I was sitting yesterday. I got home. I was here, and because I use this as my office a lot.
Right.
Because it's easy. I'm already sitting here. I've got
Mhm.
everything I need in front of me. So, I did some real estate work, and I went home because right now I've got one vehicle being something taken care of it, so we're on one, and I
Right.
didn't want her to be without if she needed. So I said, well, I can do my real estate work at home. So I went home and I'm doing real estate work, and I said, well, probably I want to eat a little lunch. And so I said, well, let me just turn on the TV while I eat lunch. And, I was watching about 10 minutes in. I went, man, I should probably be doing work instead while I'm eating, and I was like, stop, Patrick. You can
Right,
just give
right.
yourself a minute,
Right.
but I feel so guilty
Yeah.
in the day.
Yes,
If the
that's
sun's
that.
up and I'm
Exact-
sitting there watching
exactly what I was
TV,
about to say.
I feel a type of way. I'm
Yeah.
like,
It's
God, am
gotta
I
be
being
dark.
lazy?
It's got to be dark
Yeah,
outside. Yeah.
Same even for me, and I'll be honest with you, to where I'll fall asleep.
Right. Right.
If I sit down for longer than 15 minutes, was as busy as I
Yeah.
stay,
Right.
I will fall asleep.
Yeah, no, I'm bad about that as well. I have to watch myself because it's that can happen real easily. Tammy said schools are different now. Kids used to show respect to teachers and administrators. I agree with that. And again, this is a dual-edged sword. Look, when I was a kid, if you got out of line, they whooped that ass.
Mhm.
I'm not saying that's right or wrong,
Right.
but I'm saying it gave me a healthy amount of fear. Look, you have a coach who's 6'4", 6'5". He's got a paddle with holes drilled in it to make it whistle when it comes to that ass, and lifts you off the ground a good time. You'll start thinking about running your mouth a little bit, and so it kept you in line. There's a direct correlation between not punishing, for lack of a better term, not disciplining a child in a school environment, in those two things that has proceeded to show disrespect. Now,
Right.
some of that also is parents not
Yeah.
enforcing that and saying, hey, you don't do that. You don't talk to them
Yeah.
like that. You don't ever do that. And if you do it, you're going to deal with me.
I was
So
gonna
Because
say
that's
it
how
that.
my
starts
parents
at
were.
home.
Yeah.
It does.
No matter what, it starts at home.
No matter what I did at school, I really didn't care. Any punishment I got at school, I was terrified of the repercussions at home.
Yep.
You know what I mean? There was nothing that the school administration could do to me.
Oh, no, man. Listen to this comment. This is from
What's
Coda. He
that?
said, guys, you do realize you don't have to talk to women to see them naked anymore, right? That's a big part of it. OnlyFans and Pornhub has ruined the sex drive of Gen Z.
And you actually may be onto something
You
on
could
that one.
be. I mean, I guess you could be. We could see magazines.
Yeah, but at
but-
the end of the day, that hand can only get you so far.
Well, I know that's exactly
that's-
right.
I
No,
mean,
you're right about
Come
that.
on, like, you know.
I mean, no, you're not wrong. I
I
mean,
mean,
by any means, I
there's
don't
got to be
disagree
some
with that.
drive to get past that calloused palm you're dating. you know?
Yeah, no, you've abused Festina and her 5 sisters long enough. You got to
Right,
do something else. Let's see what else are people saying. Tammy also said we were home alone more because our parents worked. Brandy said we raised ourselves. In some circumstances, in some ways, I guess I was fortunate that my mom was home most of the time until probably, I was in at least late junior high school before she worked. She stayed home, but we still weren't at home a lot.
Right.
I was outside.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was outside doing stuff, hanging out with friends, or going to get some baseball cards,
Like
or
you were
riding
just
my
saying,
bike.
if the sun
or-
was up.
Yeah,
I was out doing.
I was out doing something. My parents didn't even want me home, to be
Right,
honest with you, in
right.
the day. This is when my mom got to get away from us.
Right.
Go out and play. You're going to get in the sunshine. You need it. She didn't give a damn.
I'm the same way. It drives my kids nuts. Like, Daddy, you're always outside. I'm like, 'cause this is where it's at.
Right.
This is
This
where
is
it's
where
at.
Yeah.
This is where it's at,
Get
man.
know?
some sunshine.
But
on your
you're right.
face.
Also, too, though, is that I had 2 parents that worked. So
You're more of a latchkey kid.
yeah. So yeah, and my stepdad, he had to work earlier, so he'd be getting off work by the same time we get home from school.
Right.
So, and then it was pretty much if he was working overtime, which he did a lot, the rules were we had to call. I had to call my mom at her office. Hey, we're
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
Yeah, if my mom didn't get that phone call, it was
No, you were done.
exactly.
No. Listen, I couldn't bring home certain grades, or
Yep.
my ass was grass. If I damn sure got in trouble at school, I was going to get in trouble at home, and I got
Yeah.
in trouble at school a lot.
I did
Right.
too.
But I imagine this: I got in trouble for talking or or speaking out when I wasn't supposed to. You
Yeah.
can't imagine that, I'm sure. It's impossible to think of me doing that, but that's what I did, and I got in trouble often. I can't remember, when I was in elementary, the way you were graded in your citizenship, they called it, citizenship was an S for satisfactory, an N for needs improvement, or you just weren't doing it, and mine was almost always an N, needs improvement, Tammy said something else interesting too here. She said, I was paddled once when I went to Cloverdale by Mr. Henson. I never messed up again. Yeah, right. Mr. Henson was the science teacher, and that was Mr. I know who Mr. Henson is. He was crazy. Yeah. And he would whoop that ass. He would whoop that ass. And that's where I got a lot of ass whoopings at Cloverdale Junior High. I remember when my parents signed in 4th grade, when my dad signed the permission slip for me to get paddling. Yeah, SWAT. From that moment, I got a paddling, I think, every day to the end of the year. Yeah. I mean, I was in the hall getting paddled non-stop, man. Non-stop.
My school had like a barter trade system with SWATs. Like if you had detention, instead of going to detention, you could go get a SWAT. If you had, some kind of disciplinary,
I would have always taken a whooping over anything else.
See, I'm from Utah, and we didn't have that in schools, paddling or anything.
Yeah, up in Montana.
Oh, in Utah?
Yeah.
When I talk about that around younger 20-year-olds in Montana, they're like, really? They not only did they not experience it, they've never even heard of it. They're like, what?
Really?
Like another adult besides your parents?
My paddlings came from home a lot.
But I think about Montana, you're already trying to just survive there every day to live there.
It's bitter cold.
Yeah, I mean, you got cold, you got crazy animals, you probably live on a ranch.
Right.
Let's be honest.
Well, up there, a lot of the kids I work with, they're all like summer jobs. So they're all from different parts of the country. Okay. We get a good array of kids up there. And it's kind of, it's interesting.
I bet it is interesting. Yeah, because I never think about how different it may have been in other regions of the country as far as how schools were conducted or discipline was conducted, I literally never used a belt to spank any of my kids. I'm not knocking anyone, but that was the tool of choice for my parents was to get that belt out and lop it up, and they tell you, move your hands. Move your hands. I got whelps on my hands more than once, I promise you.
My mom was a wooden spoon.
Oh, the wooden spoon. That's a good one, though.
She was a fan of the wooden spoon.
My mom was a fan of grabbing anything. She once whooped me with a wiffle ball bat.
Whatever.
Whatever she could get her hands on. Yeah, that's how she did. But she wasn't, she wasn't a great whooper. She was a little too soft in that area. So I didn't feel threatened by her until she said, "I'm going to tell your father."
Yeah.
And that's when you're like, hey, come on, Mom, please. Right. You become that guy. Wait, Mom, wait. I'm sorry. I love you.
Come on, don't tell him.
Don't do that. Don't tell Dad. No, he's a bastard.
I only got slapped one time by my mom. That was it. And she called me an SOB. And I looked at her and said, you're right, I am.
Yeah.
And I got slapped.
Yeah.
I was in 7th grade.
Really?
Yeah. And so then she said, what's your day gets home?
Yeah.
And I sat in my room for 5 hours. Waiting for my dad.
Yeah. I remember I popped out to my mom once, and I was probably about 13, 14, somewhere in that range. And she wanted to discipline me, but I was bigger and taller, and I was like, no, we're not going to do that. And so I went back to my room. I came out of my room. My mom jumped out of a dark room in the hall when I was walking up and caught me, just blindsided me, man. And she goes, don't ever think you're too big for me to get. And I just went,
oh, shit.
Okay, well, fair enough. Fair enough. I'll respect that. Let's see. Go out and pick your own whooping stick called a switch, Brandon said. I've seen, I've known lots of people do that. Latasha said, I grew up in Pennsylvania. My mom said teachers would hit them with rulers or a switch stick. By the time I went to school, they weren't allowed to do that. I do remember rulers. I've had my hand popped with a ruler before.
I had a teacher that was her, that she'd pop your hands with a ruler.
Yeah, you pop
if
your
you were
hand.
sleeping or talking or not paying attention.
Don't waste the desk up for me.
Do what?
Just slap the desk with a ruler.
Yeah.
And that was enough to
we're just more physical down here at the South.
Yeah, it must be. I mean, but we get a lot of loving in too. I mean, look, we're huggers around here. I mean, most people are huggers in the South. You find.
Yeah, I had to learn that. When I moved down here 20 years ago. Yeah, I had to learn the hugging thing. I was like, Oh, okay.
What about
We're
the?
hungry now.
What,
I'm a hugger. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a hugger.
No,
everywhere
no.
I
I
go.
mean, it's just what I do.
what about the ma'am, sir thing? Is that because that's something I hear a lot in Montana? I mean, people will
they you know what?
borderline get offended.
California is they asked me. I have some investors from California, and we were shopping, and again, yes sir, no ma'am, whatever it may be, and it's a couple, and she finally said, is that just something y'all say here? And I said, yeah, it's just a respect thing, it's a courtesy thing. It just yes, that's what
To
we
me,
do.
I don't even think about it. It's just part of my
Right, I don't
vernacular
either.
that I don't even. It just comes out.
Uncle Sam taught me, so it doesn't faze me one bit.
Yeah,
Right,
Uncle
right.
Sam and my dad,
Yeah.
because he was all, you gonna call him sir.
No, it
I
was.
promise you were gonna call him sir.
Yeah, there was never one time that I got out a yes or no without a sir or ma'am behind it. They let me get.
Oh
out
no,
with it.
there's no yeah.
Yeah, there was.
What do you mean yeah? I'm not
Yeah.
your buddy.
But
I'm
they're
not your
getting away from that
friend.
now
Yeah.
around here. Have you
Huh?
noticed that? The younger kids, they don't. It's not being enforced anymore.
Yeah.
It's
I don't know.
really rare out
I
here.
will say that may be true. My sons, I have had many people say, "Man, they're so mannerly,"
Yeah,
because they will use.
That's
they do
it.
use that.
100%. And I think I recognized that as a small kid that people appreciated that, and so it just always made it a point to,
It just works. I mean,
Yeah.
look, there's no negative to it.
No, not at all.
To
No.
using
Well,
it, and that's what I think. If I were going to say anything about people today where they fail, it's because they have this. It's a perspective issue. The perspective is, I'm not going to bow down to anyone. I'm not going to be, I'm as good as you, as
Right.
good as anybody. I'm not, this is who I am, take it or
Right,
leave it.
right.
And they don't want to sell out, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I see it as a psychological thing that enables me to achieve more
1,000%.
by
1,000%.
using manners, by using certain ways of communicating, by listening, by even when I disagree with people, not hammering them down, I find that I achieve more. It's just like when you call customer service. Yeah, I can shit on them.
Right.
I can say all
You're not
kinds of
gonna
things
get
to
very
them,
far.
but I'm never.
Right.
I may feel. I won't feel better when I hang up. Honestly, if I do, I'll feel guilty. But if I'm cool with it and I just keep working it, oftentimes I get what I want.
1,000%.
I get people, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but I feel like based on the way I communicate, I'm able to accomplish more than others at times
Yeah.
where people wouldn't do that because they're
Right.
used to everybody calling and being an
dick.
asshole.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
And so if you're the opposite of that and you're like, listen, I know it's not your fault. I
Yeah.
know you're just doing your job and you got to work your process. And I get that. I just need to figure out how to do this. Can you help me?
Right.
I always apologize when I call.
Yeah.
I do. Say, hey, I'm sorry. I know you're busy, and
That's always a good one. I know you're
I
busy.
don't want to be. I don't want to be that guy. I'm having a problem. Can you help me out?
Mm-hmm.
I screwed up,
That's a great way to go.
and they're always like, "Oh my gosh, hey, okay,
Right.
Mr. Orton."
Yeah,
You know
no,
what I mean?
that is exactly what I'm talking about.
And then I thank them.
And some people are like, why is you not gonna go? And I get it, okay, but do you want? This was something I learned early on. Do you want to win an argument or keep a relationship?
Right.
Because you can't do both.
Yeah.
No.
You cannot do both. If you win every argument, you will have no friends. You will
Right.
have no significant other.
Right.
You will have a miserable life but you will win every argument and you can validate yourself and say you're the smartest in the room. You're the best there is, I guess, but you're going to be lonely
Right.
and you're probably going to go a hard row on everything you get.
Right.
You never want to be the smartest person in the room, though. Never.
I'm never the smartest
No,
person in the
I'm
room.
not for the same
I can't try to be. I'm not.
I know.
Right.
My wife thinks that I think so, but I really don't.
Right.
Oftentimes I defer. I don't have all the answers. I'm smart enough to know that.
No, I think vernacular goes a long way, and back to entrepreneurial. I know there are jobs I've got, or clients I've got, or trouble I've gotten out of,
Yes.
all for no other reason than the polite way that I
Being
approach
humble.
the situation. Yes, exactly.
Being cool and accepting,
Yeah,
like
I know.
I'll accept responsibility for
Yeah.
things. Sometimes I don't even think ultimately are my fault, but I think, well, it happened on my watch,
Yeah, I had
and
control.
I'm your agent, or I'm this,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
this is what I am, and so in this role, I'm the shepherd and it's my fault.
Right. Yeah,
You
it
know?
goes a long way.
Yeah, no, it really does. All right, let's move on here to something a little bit different. First of all, let me tell you about this because Riggin Law, man, no matter what kind of law that you need help with or legal work you need help with, they can do it. Okay, Kristen Riggin, Casey, her team, they're all phenomenal people over there. They do family law, property law, contract law, elder law, business law, criminal law, and everything else under the sun. Probate, she does specialize in that, but whether it's divorce, it's custody, you're dealing with, an older family member who's got medical issues, things like that going on. There's so many variables because people are living longer. We're taking care of our parents more. You might have someone with Alzheimer's, and there's a lot of things that come behind that legally that are real murky and gray. Look, you can reach out to Riggin Law. Go to rigginlaw.com, Riggin, Riggan law.com, or just call them 249-1289. They're in Benton. They're good people. You know what? Kristen might be one of the funniest attorneys I've ever met. She's got a great sense of humor. She's a good person. And when you talk to her, it's just like calling and talking to me. It's going to be no different, just good people. So what's going on in the world of Bundy Electric, man?
Man, I think this week I'm gonna get hooked up over at the break room and
Oh,
throw some
yeah.
fans up for Miss Amanda. Yeah, there.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
Get them cooled off over in the break
yeah,
room.
yeah, and we've got some exciting stuff coming up. I think I'm gonna start a new company, a new business endeavor with a friend of mine that I've met through the construction world. It's gonna
Really?
be a company that offers HVAC, electrical, and plumbing.
Oh, all in one.
Yeah, all in one.
Now
So,
that's quite a combo unit.
yeah, we're getting excited about.
Well, I
gearing
would
it up
think
and
so. I
some
mean, you don't hear that
paperwork filled
combination.
out and-
That's unusual. What led to this?
Really, like I said, we both met in the field and both had mutual connections where, we really couldn't do it on our own, but if we put our connections together, we knew the plumbers,
The
we knew
resources,
the
yeah.
resources, the investor,
So it'd be HVAC, plumbing, and what?
electrical.
Electrical.
Yes,
Man,
sir.
that's the three core things.
Yeah,
If you control that, you control the world.
yeah.
I'm being honest with you. In the home world, that's everything but a roof.
For sure. And what makes it enticing to employees there is we're structuring it like a profit share company. So if you're a master in your respective trade, you get a higher than national average hourly wage, and on top of that, you'll get a small percentage share of the overall company.
That's great.
Once
That's a
you've-
great way
once
to
you've
position
obtained
it,
that master.
and that encourages people to.
Yeah.
Again, that's the right incentive
Yeah.
to encourage someone to want to be involved and want to do more, is because I can make more.
Exactly, and that's what you see in the small blue collar trades is a plateau that everybody starts to hit.
Yep.
you know?
Yeah.
And so just to try to give people an option to.
And that's so true, because once you hit that plateau, if you're a tradesman, then and I'm not saying you won't continue to work hard, but I'm saying that it will change things, because the ambition level
Yeah.
will
yeah,
drive
kind of
some,
hit that ceiling.
and you just kind of flatten out. Whereas
Right.
if you give me an opportunity to keep increasing my take and keep benefiting myself and my family,
Right.
then I want to reach out for that. So
Right.
it's a really great idea. So when is this company going to
Man,
launch?
we're filling out some LLC paperwork and getting some bonds with different cities around the state.
So this is real close to
yeah,
happening.
we're hoping by February, maybe mid-February,
Wow.
we'll kick off. So
That is
yeah.
congratulations,
Yeah,
bro.
thank
This
you.
is
Thank you
awesome,
very
man.
much.
Yeah.
Shake it over here.
Hell yeah,
thank you,
that's
thank you.
awesome, man.
We're excited about it. We've got a partner in on it with me, and he's been doing a lot of the work behind the scenes, and I appreciate him. But yeah, we're stoked about it.
Hell
It's
yeah,
gonna be
that's
fun.
awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, I told you that I had a great interview for you today, and
Yeah.
this interview, let me just kind of lay this out for you, because maybe you weren't here earlier, but Scott Edwards is the guy. Now, Scott started his first company at age 17, okay? And at 24 in 1980, he opened what's now one of the oldest comedy clubs in the country, called Laughs Unlimited. It was, at that time, the 12th full-time comedy club in the United States.
Wow.
He was fortunate enough to work with, the Bob Saget, with all the big names, Jerry Seinfeld, Gary Shandling, you name it. And he developed a successful chain of comedy clubs. He, produced some TV series, all kinds of comedy stage shows and things. And so when I had a chance to talk to him, man, there was a lot of questions that I had about people he'd rubbed elbows with and some of those cool experiences. I mean, you don't get around people like that and not have some interesting
Right.
stories. And so let me share with you this interview from Scott Edwards.
Cool.
I think you're going to like him a lot. So check it out. Here we go. Okay, I am here with Scott Edwards, and man, I'm very excited about this. I, found out about you coming on the show a couple days ago, and I've been doing a little bit of homework. Man, it's hard to give you such a simple introduction, so let me just kind of tell people that Scott has done many different things. Number one, he owned about 21 comedy clubs. He's worked with comedians from all over the planet. He's an entrepreneur. He has produced a couple of television shows. He's just done a lot of different things. And now he helps.
Just a wild and crazy guy.
Well, kind of, sort of, right? So, you got to tell me, Scott, given the number of, I mean, you've rubbed elbows with some of the greatest comedians who've ever graced a stage. So my question to you is, what person have you met in your illustrious career that really just, you couldn't believe it? You're standing there talking to him going, how did this turn into my life? How did this happen?
Oh, well, that's a great question, Patrick, and thanks for having me on your podcast. I've had a chance to work with some of the best. My chain of comedy clubs was called Laughs Unlimited, and I opened in August of 1980.
Wow.
Yes, I'm old, but I was young when I started it. But the guys that helped me get started were Bob Saget and Dave Coulier. You may know them from Full House and Fuller House.
Absolutely.
They were instrumental in helping me get going. One of the guys that was an early starter and went on to some fame and fortune, you might have heard of him, Jerry Seinfeld.
I think I've heard his name a time or two. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Jay Leno. But what's interesting about your question is those are guys that were at the same point in their career as I was. So they were still working up. They hadn't gotten fame and fortune. So I was their boss. There wasn't any awestruck moment. I'd have to say that being, you have to use age as a determining factor, but my father had a great sense of humor. And when I had the clubs, I wanted to impress him with his generation of people. And so three of the people that I like to bring up their names, although most of the audience have forgotten these really gems of comedy, but one was Soupy Sales.
Oh, yeah.
You may remember he had his own TV show, and he was famous for throwing a pie in the face of presidents and movie stars. Well, I actually had a pie thrown in my face by Soupy Sales on live TV. So, whoop, whoop.
That's pretty impressive. I remember watching him when I was a kid, and he would be on a lot of shows like Hollywood Squares and things like that. And so I knew him through the TV circuit, not the stand-up circuit,
Right. When he was kind of towards the end of his career and doing other things, but he did have his own TV show for a long time. Another young comic who was a star of the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour, ran for president twice. You may remember Pat Paulson.
Of course, yeah.
Pat Paulson and I became very good friends. I actually spent time with him at his ranch in Napa. But he was the guy that always ran for president as a joke on the Smothers Brothers Comedy Hour.
Yeah.
And when he was here at my club, there was a mayoral campaign going on. So we ran him down to the Capitol. We had placards made that said, "Why not Paulson?" and had limos. And
that's great.
Service. It was a great time. But I think one of the ones that was really awestruck was, I'm a big Monty Python fan.
Oh, yeah. No, one of the best.
Church of the Holy Grail or
yeah, absolutely.
Faulty Towers.
Yes.
Well, right before he passed, we were very lucky to have Graham Chapman.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Club.
Amazing.
And he do stand-up comedy in the way you do, Patrick, but he told great stories of hanging out with the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and some of the things that he and the Monty Python group did. And being a Python fan, just having him at my club, getting to hang out with him, having them on stage telling stories that were just incredible was a real honor.
Yeah, they were, really some of the great comedy pioneers, Monty Python of sketch comedy and broader into movies, and
Yeah, I know people in these days don't remember, but if you want you like that British humor, which is a little more dry and a little more eccentric, go Google Faulty Towers and watch a show or two. They were incredible. But, the Search of the Holy Grail movie in itself was one of a kind.
Oh, yeah, no, it was great.
Yeah, so, you got to kind of like their British humor, but it's a lot of fun.
Well, I fell in love with British humor as a kid, and my parents didn't know, thankfully, because it was the first time I saw boobs. But it was I was watching the Benny Hill show every night,
Oh man!
and yeah,
he was
and
always great.
it was a riot to me as a little kid. I thought it was the funniest thing in the world, and I was probably, I don't know, 10, 11, 12, and but he always had, kind of lascivious things going on in that show, and
a amount of naked women, but
yeah,
it was always done in a comedy gag.
It was.
For a 12-year-old boy, that is perfect.
No, it was the greatest thing in the world to me. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Unfortunately,
It's in comedy.
Yeah, no, I mean, those two things together are spectacular. You know what I mean? So you say, you worked with Dave and Jerry. So some of these guys, coming up young, what was a young Jerry Seinfeld like before he had made it? Was he as confident and as, the same type persona? How did he come across when he came to your door?
Well, what's interesting about Jerry, and the same could be said for Jay Leno, who, by the way, are both richer than God.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
They love stand-up comedy so much. They're both still out touring today.
Yeah.
That shows you their commitment to stand-up comedy. But I would say Jerry in particular was the adamant professional. He always looked nice on stage. There was none of that, casual Friday showing up in a T-shirt. He always gave the audience who were paying to see him a professional look. He also wrote every day. He loves writing comedy, and he was prolific at it. And what's interesting about Jerry, and if you ever remember some of his early material, it was so relatable. For example, his first stint on the Johnny Carson show, he told a joke about what's with men's pajamas? They got cuffs and a chest pocket.
Right.
Like we need a pocket protector when we're going to bed. What's this all about?
Yeah.
And it was silly comedy, but it was, everybody knew what he was talking about.
I think,
you didn't have to say, oh, what's that?
Right. No, I think Jerry, much like today, Jim Gaffigan,
he's amazing.
Yeah, they use the most base level things that everybody relates to and find a way to make that funny. And it's something that almost everyone inevitably can relate to. And as I've done,
you've done some stand-up comedy, and you know that the most important thing, if you're going to succeed in comedy, is to be able to relate and engage with an audience. What's great and unusual about stand-up comedy as an industry and as an art form is that, unlike being a movie star where you're reading somebody else's lines and you get to do things over and over, or TV where there's a teleprompter, when you're a live stand-up comic, you have to not only know your material, you have to be able to find out what that audience is interested in and relate to them. And what's really exciting, and I think you can relate to this, is that you never know what audience you're going to get. It could be a Wednesday night with 20 people, or a Saturday 8 o'clock show with 500 people.
Man, you couldn't be more right. And, I always tell this, what I'm talking about, stand up, because I've performed in so many different venues all over the country. And, the great thing is you can come in and have a crowd of 40 and they'll sound like 100 if you do a really good job. But if you come in and there's 7, it sounds like 7. And there's no way around that. We had a show one time that we got booked for, and I questioned him when he booked it because it was right after New Year, and I'm like, man, is anybody going to be even out for this? He goes, no, we've got a big thing, a big marketing push for it. We know we're going to have a big crowd. Well, I showed up and there were 12, and at that time I was mentoring my wife, who's also a stand-up comic. And she came
Oh,
to
how
me.
cool.
Yeah, it is. It's super cool. And she came to me and she said, listen, do I have to perform tonight? And I said, babe, listen, here's the deal. Those 12 people they paid. They paid for
Yeah.
the show and they're going to get the show. So you get your head around it. You're going to perform for 12 people, work the crowd, do your thing, make it good. And she did.
Is adage, the show must go on.
It has to. If you've got a paying customer, you got to deliver for them. What do you think about, with the internet, it's changed the comedy game in some ways. In some ways, it's still the same. Some people still come up in the circuit. But with the advent of the internet, you see a lot of people explode from there. But moreover, it seems like crowd work is what everybody loves to focus on now when they're promoting. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm not a big fan of what the internet's done to the industry. I was in business before and then at the beginning of the internet, and it has turned, there's such a short attention span that I've actually seen where some idiot is getting, just 3 or 4 30-second, funny things, hitting himself in the balls or something
Right.
on TikTok. And then some stupid company will pay him $10,000 to come out and do a private show. And he gets there and he's got a minute and a half of material and you're supposed to do an hour show.
No, you're right.
It's a loser for everybody. But I wanted to go back to the previous topic of small shows. I got a great story for you.
Okay.
Are you ready for this one, Patrick?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Remember Gary Shandling?
Of course I do. Yeah, everybody remembers Gary.
Gary Shandling show, the Larry Sanders show.
Yeah.
One of the funniest guys. He's probably done 100 movies. If you guys go to the Googler and put in Gary Shandling, you'll recognize him right away.
Absolutely.
Co-host of the Tonight Show. Well, he was my very first comic.
Really?
When I opened in 1980, he made $100 to learn for a week,
Wow.
and it was his first road gig out of Phoenix. But here's the story. One night it was a Tuesday night. We had, as you were talking about, 12 people in the audience. And Gary's doing his show, right? Because you do the show no matter what. And about halfway through the show, one of the guys gets up and goes to the restroom.
Oh, wow.
And Gary pauses, and this never happened in my 20 plus years, 40 plus years in show business. When that happened, Gary stopped the show and said, that's too high a percentage of the audience. He took the other 11 people, all couples, down the hall into the men's room. This guy standing at the urinal doing his business. Gary goes and stands right behind him. 11 men and William cram into the men's room. And then Gary went on with the show like nothing was changed.
In the men's room. That's phenomenal, man. That's great. And you know what? Those people remember that the rest of their damn lives, man.
It was a once in a lifetime moment. And the poor guy trying to do his business was just freaked out.
Oh, I bet.
I will share with everybody, we did make sure he washed his hands.
Well, that's good. That's good news. Yeah, that's important, Man, that's fantastic. So you were in the comedy club business for 21 years. What made you move on from that?
Well, it just, comedy started to change. The economy changed. I was very lucky to be in the business in the 80s when cash and drugs were flowing.
That's true.
By 2001, things were starting to change in comedy. I kind of had my run, and I got kind of one of those offers you can't refuse. So I was able to cash out, and my first retirement, I was 44.
Wow.
So, it wasn't a bad situation.
No,
it's interesting, Patrick, that club, Laughs Unlimited, that I started in 1980 is still running today. Now, I'm not a part of it, but that club has lasted 45 years. And when I opened it, it was the 12th full-time comedy club in the country. And now it's one of the oldest.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's quite a legacy. I'm very proud of it.
I bet.
I went on to other adventures. I'm an entrepreneur. I was 24 when I started it, but that was my third company.
Really?
And I went on to have restaurants, jazz clubs. I even owned a submarine and a beach shack in Hawaii.
Now, what were you doing with the submarine?
Having fun. Woo!
Yeah, that's great, man.
So I was co-owner of a company called Snuba, It's underwater snorkeling. It's all over the world. If
Right.
you travel to tropical locations, you'll see snuba.
I've seen
And
it.
the owners of snuba built this tourist submarine, full size, I don't know, I think it was 120 feet long, held 40 people, tourist submarines. And they called me out to Pearl Harbor to help them launch it. And I go, man, this is cool. I want one of these. So I bought one and put it in Monterey, California, and actually ran it for a couple of years. I got a chance to drive the submarine, interact with the people as
Wow.
the pelagic fish and the sea lions and the sea otters. It was quite an experience, but we lost our ass financially. Monterey has a problem with cold water and algae bloom.
Oh,
And so it didn't work like a tropical location. So we ended up selling the submarine to the Wrigley Gum family. And
Oh.
it still operates out of Catalina Island.
really? That's
Yeah.
something.
So there's a little bit of a story there.
That's a good one. So let me ask you this, because we bring a lot of comedians on this show, and there are a lot of up and coming comedians who come on this
we
show.
just had Trevor, the impression.
Oh yeah, Trevor Weller Jr. Yeah, his dad's a
Also,
star on his own.
Thank you, Patrick.
Yeah,
You also bring on a lot of young musicians and get them to showcase their music. My hat's off to you.
thank you very much.
I don't do that kind of podcast, but I was really great to see you have comics and musicians. You've had some amazing people on.
Thank you. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to sidetrack myself, but we just had a big event over the weekend, and I was just sitting here talking to the complex owner where my studio is located at, and we were talking about I've come up with this crazy idea to take some of these comedians and do our own comedy specials, produce them out and air them on our program, at different times or whatever. But so my question to you is, when it comes to a young comedian who's trying to make it, what are 3 things you would tell them that are necessary to succeed in comedy?
Well, as you know, Patrick, the 3 main things are get on stage, get on stage, get on stage.
That is absolutely correct. Yes.
Because it's all about stage time. Yes, you want to start writing. Yes, you want to, decide how you're going to present yourself as a performer on stage. If you want to go professional, you have to. It's a job. You got to work at it. You can't just go up, get drunk and tell a couple of dick jokes and think you're a comic. No,
that's right.
Prepared. But to any young professional like Trevor or any of the people you work with, the more stage time you get, the better you're going to get. You want to take the jokes you write, which are lumps of coal, and work them over and over and over until you get a diamond of a bit. Then you move on and write another bit, and you keep adding to that. So the guys I work with will say Dana Carvey or Harry Anderson from Night Court.
Yeah.
They would start off with 5 or 10 minutes of material, but a year later they would come back. They would have that same 10 minutes because they'd honed it, but now it's a half hour because they keep building on it.
Yeah, no, that's right. My forte, I do stand up and I do the show and all that, but my real forte has always been writing. And I
thought it was wrestling.
Yeah, well, no, that's definitely not my forte. I did it, but it ain't my forte. I promise you. My ribs say otherwise. Well,
writing is so important, Patrick, and you have the gift of gab. Being a podcaster and being a professional like stand-up, you understand what it takes, where it's, you set up a premise and then you do a punchline. You can't just go out and do the punchline. You have to get the audience on the same page as you.
Well, you do. And I think, first of all, you have to be authentic if you want to be successful, in my mind. There are very few. Yeah, there are some comedians with gimmicks that work, but it's really the authenticity that makes it work, I think, for most comedy. And you have to find your own voice. And sometimes that takes just a little bit, but it takes mainly getting on stage, as you're saying, and doing it over and over again. Because to your point, I tell these guys, look, write a skeleton of what you kind of have in mind. Okay. And then flesh that out.
Right.
Yeah. And start fleshing it out, and then go every angle you can think of in and out of it. and try to find things that tie to it and work it slowly until you get it there.
Did you do this? It's so important too. Not only do you want to get on stage in front of strangers, not your family,
Not your friends.
Yeah. Record your sets, even the bad ones, because that's when you learn. You know, as an entrepreneur who started over a dozen companies, failures are the stepping stones to success. If you're not failing, you're not trying.
Right.
It's the same in comedy. Everybody you've ever heard of, from Dana Carvey to Paula Poundstone, if you don't bomb, you're not going to succeed.
No, you have to fail. I do think you can hedge some bets. You know, this is what I would tell them is, look, you know, you write this material, this 5 minutes out, right? And then get you a recorder. It could be your phone now these days, but back then, whatever recording device you had, do your 5 minutes and do it. You don't have to go full throat, but you need to go with gusto and record it and then listen to it. And to listen to it objectively and go, is it funny? How many dead spots do I have? Where can I fill at? Where should I do this? You know, where can I pause or not?
You may hear where an audience really likes something that you were so excited about, you forget. And, oh, the audience liked that. I got to remember to keep that in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, the audience didn't like that. Maybe I can rewrite it or drop it.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely true. So you run into all kinds of people, I'm sure, in the comedy world, you know, with having 21 comedy clubs, working with the folks that you work with. You know, who are some other celebrities that you encountered in your time?
Well, it was an interesting story. This gentleman never worked for me, but there was a time, I'm going to try to keep it a short story.
Okay.
I was doing open mics. That's where you learn how to become a comic.
Right.
And there was a guy here in Sacramento, I'm in Central California, that came up and he was just horrible. And so I was very honest with wannabe comics, and I would sit down with them after and critique their sets and tell them where they need to work on or this or that. And I did this with this young man. Nothing mean, but, you know, if you're not funny, you're not funny. You need to hear it. And
Yeah, that's
I got
true.
a 3-page letter. And the first 2 pages, he was threatening my life, said he was going to stalk me. He was going to blow up my car, all this stuff. And then the last page, how much he loved me, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So this guy was obviously nuts. So fast forward about a year and a half, and I got a phone call from Sinbad, the movie star.
Yeah.
And a comic. You guys all know Sinbad.
Yeah,
right?
Jingle All the Way, all those big
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
Perfect. He calls me, and he go, you know, I get on the phone. Hi, this is Sinbad. And I go, oh, okay. And he tells me the story that he met some guy down in L.A. and then got a 3-page letter threatening his life. So I
Wow.
laughed. I said, look, the guy's harmless. He's a little out of his mind, but he's not going to follow up on what he's doing. So, you know, don't worry about it. So Sinbad, yeah, I kind of thought so, but I wanted to make sure. And we had a nice conversation and got to know each other a little bit. Now you fast forward another couple of years, and I was visiting a comedy club in a different town, and the manager asked me backstage, and they're sitting in the office with Sinbad. And I went up and I said, hey, I'm Scott Edwards. And he goes, yeah, I'm Sinbad. And I said, well, yeah, I know. We have a connection through death threats.
Right.
What? And he goes, oh, shit, you're that guy.
That's hilarious, man. That's
It was
hilarious.
So funny. So that's my, you know, little piece of fame with Sinbad that you just wouldn't expect, you know.
No.
Wow, we have a great bond over a death threat.
That's funny. That's funny. Now, how did Tom Hanks get into your universe?
Wow. Well, it was interesting. It was 1981. Bob Saget, who was a regular at my club, helped me get going, calls me up and he goes, hey, I have a week next week. Can I bring up this new young actor who needs to work on a set? I said, Bob, anything for you. So
They say he was the nicest guy in the world.
yeah, Tom Hanks wasn't Tom Hanks at the time. He
Right.
was just another guy that was trying to get his, you know, shit together as an actor.
Right.
So Bob brings up Tom, and Bob wrote material for him, and I helped Tom with like stage presence, where to look, and how to use the mic and stuff. And between the two of us, by the end of the week, Tom had about a 5-minute set.
Okay.
Well, it turns out the reason he was here was the next week he performed that 5 minutes on, you may remember, an early TV show, Tom Hanks' first show called
Bosom Buddy. Yeah, of course.
That was Tom Hanks' first show.
Yeah.
The material we wrote and he perfected, he did on the show. So it was really exhilarating that we got to work with him.
Oh, my God, yeah.
On TV the next week. And it was a great moment in my life to get to work with Tom. But he wasn't, he
wasn't that Tom Hanks yet. Yeah. No, I remember that show. It was a really funny show, and he had gone down, the early path of funny, and of course later became the Tom Hanks we all know and love. But, going back to Bob Saget, everybody universally says they love that cat. Like he was the nicest guy on the planet. Sounds like
he was like the dirtiest guy on stage.
Always.
He played Danny Tanner on children's TV, a Full House, but on stage he was filthy.
Filthy.
One of the nicest guys, helped me get started. My first 2 TV commercials, he wrote them and acted in them and charged me nothing.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, and it's so sad that we've lost him now.
I know.
He was such a great guy. But what a lot of people don't know is that he was first, before an actor and before a full-time stand-up comic, he was a comic musician.
Oh, really?
He would bring a guitar on stage and do these dirty lyrics.
That's hilarious. I did not know that.
That's fun.
That's great. So you moved on and you produced a couple of television shows. Which is harder, producing 21 comedy clubs and making that work, or producing a TV show?
I really love producing, period. But when it came to the TV series, we did 2 series and a 1-hour special. I was not only the producer, but I was a director.
Oh, wow.
And in 2 of the cases, I was also the host. So it was a lot more work in a different area. Producing live shows can be challenging enough. You're talking about producing some shows, Patrick. One of the biggest things that people don't think about is that you've got an audience of 200 people, and showtime's 2 hours from now, and then one of the acts gets sick or doesn't show up, right?
Right.
So you got to fill that spot to make sure, as we talked about earlier, the show must go on. In television production, it's kind of a whole different ballgame because if you're really good at your job as a producer, everything's in place, but during the actual shoot, where you're spending lots of money,
right,
you have to make sure that everything falls into place. And what the other thing that's interesting about television production is that the timing is so important. But as you know, because you've been in broadcasting and done some stand-up, what it comes down to is editing.
Yes. Yeah.
You have to be able to edit, and that's sometimes difficult.
It's painful.
Sometimes you have to cut out good shit.
It's the truth, man. It's the truth. So, Scott, what are you doing these days that people need to know about?
Wow, I'm glad you asked. Whoop, whoop. I am now, I'm retired now, and I'm a podcaster. For the last 5.5 years, I've got a great stand-up comedy podcast called Stand Up Comedy, Your Host and MC, and that name comes from, that's how I was introduced for all those years.
Right.
Here's your host and MC, Scott Edwards. Woo! Down and back, down and back.
Yeah.
And my podcast has 2 phases. Every other week, I interview somebody from the industry. So you get these great interviews where people tell stories and share their secrets about being in the comedy industry. And then the other week, I share actual stand-up comedy from back in the 80s and 90s. So
oh, wow, that's
Bob
cool.
Saget, Jay Leno, and Paula Poundstone. I even had Ellen DeGeneres on my stage as a feature act before she was famous.
Oh, wow.
There's some great material there. But this will be the first time I've shared this. Patrick, are you sitting down?
I think so. Yes. Hold on. Yeah, I am. Yeah.
For your audience only, this is the first time I've shared this. I've always done audio podcasts because I kind of think that's the basis of podcasting.
Sure.
But everyone's going to video. So on February 18th, I'm launching my first video podcast. being announced here for the first time called Tag Team Talent Podcast. And I'm going to be showcasing the variety arts, including stand-up comedy, magic, impressions, ventriloquism, through short 1 to 3 minute videos from all over the world. It's so exciting, Patrick. I've had people send in stuff from Panama City and from Argentina, and I'm going to have a co-host. That's the tag team part.
Right.
So me and a co-host, every show, the co-host will change. I'll be consistent. And we'll be showcasing these videos from all over the world. All the shows are only about 15 minutes long, but it's going to be a lot of fun. It's called Tag Team Talent Podcast. And if you know anybody that's got talent, have them go to my website.
Well, I certainly will have. I know many that have talent. I will send them to your website, and we certainly want to help you promote this. So make sure and keep us in the know. Send us a link so when you launch it, we can share it to all of our people and make sure everybody's tuning in to see what's going on in the comedy world, both old and new.
Oh, it'd be great. In fact, it's so funny you mentioned that. Two things. If you do want to send us a video, the website is www.tagteamtalentsearch.com, because right now we're searching for talent.
Okay.
Tagteamtalentsearch.com. And it's, as you mentioned, so I had these 2 TV series and the comedy special where I got a chance to record Dana Carvey, Dave Coulier, Bob Saget, Pat Paulson. So on this new podcast that I'm launching, I showcase 2 talented people from somewhere in the world, and it could be dance, music, ventriloquism, as I mentioned, impressions. But the third video will always be some of the classic comedy from my old TV show.
Oh, cool.
So people will be able to see Dave Coulier and Bob Saget and Paula Poundstone before they were famous.
In the raw, so to speak,
Yeah.
right? In the raw. Well, this is great news.
And I'm telling your audience first.
Well, man, we're thankful for it, and I definitely want to help you get the word out, and definitely we'll, get some folks to submit and see if maybe they can get on there on Tag Team and see if maybe they have the skill set or the talent that you're looking for.
Oh, that would be great. People like Trevor and you had Jason on earlier.
Yeah.
You've got a lot of talented people, and some of those musicians, because it will go into solo musicians dance. I'd love to get some good tap dancers. I love tap. But the idea is just to showcase talent from around the world, not in 30-second or 10-second bites like TikTok.
Right.
All the videos are 2 to 3 minutes. We get to really showcase some talent, and then me and my co-host will comment and share with the audience. It should be a lot of fun.
Man, this sounds like a show I want to watch, and I'm sure everybody's going to want to watch. So tell them again, what's the website?
February 18th, it launches on Spotify.
Okay. And tell them the name and the website again.
It's a Tag Team Talent Podcast, but the website's the important part right now, tagteamtalentsearch.com.
There you go.
Talentsearch.com. There's a form, easy way to send in videos. We'll tell you more about the show, and we pre-edited some samples that are on there.
All right, so everybody go over there, take a look. Everybody knows somebody talented. Somebody who's got skills. Send them his way, and let's get him some notoriety. That's what we're about here.
Let's get some of your stand-up videos on there.
Hey, we could definitely do it. We can work that out. I promise you. I'd love to be on there. I'd be happy to do that. Would love it. So yeah, well, let's get together on that in the very near future, and would be glad to talk to you about coming on.
Oh, that's great. Thank you so much. Appreciate being on your podcast. You have a great show, a great audience, and everybody out there, just keep laughing and have fun in life.
Hey, thanks, Scott. Thank you for coming in and sharing your time with us, man.
My pleasure.
All right. Have a good day, man. Hey, that was great, man. And there you go. There you have it, man. What a fascinating guy. Lots of great stories. I'm going to have him back again in the future because
for sure.
He's just got so many stories. But a couple things before we go here. Bundy, so we hadn't had a chance to really debrief. What was your take about Ark and Brawl? How did you and Jamie enjoy it?
It was a blast.
The lovely
Am I
Miss
wrong?
Bundrick.
Yeah, it was a blast, dude. We were jacked the whole time, dude. It was super exciting. The performers put on a good show. we got here a little early, so we kind of got to see some behind the scenes stuff and just watching
Right.
them interact with each other and set up for the day. So overall, man, we had a good time. It seemed like everybody had a great time that was here. We packed the house out.
Yeah, no, it was crazy. My take on it that I've been so thrilled with, and what I've said is there were so many different kinds of people. I mean, there were kids, there were grandmas, there were moms, dads, any nationality, any race,
Yeah,
any kind of
yeah.
sexuality. It didn't matter. There
Right.
was all these different people together, and everybody had a blast.
Everybody had a good
I mean,
time.
just everybody. There wasn't a single negative.
I was gonna say you said that yesterday. Not a single negative. Not
No.
the only bad interactions were the ones happening, in the
Yeah,
ring.
yeah.
Right.
Now, how crazy was the scaffold match?
Dude, that was wild. My wife she couldn't handle it. She gets bad anxious about stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
And dude, she was just on her toes, clenching her teeth the whole time.
That's great. That's great.
But dude, it was exciting. I mean, the way the whole match played out, they really did a great job.
I felt like that, all of those wrestlers came in and just poured their heart and soul into it.
100%, 100%. We were, inspired when we left. Just I told you earlier, seeing art performed by people who are passionate about doing it, almost in any facet, is inspiring. And so this one was a special kind of thing to watch. We don't ever get to see wrestling besides now on Netflix. So to see that live event
and that up close too, because it was
For
really
sure.
close
For
quarters.
sure.
Everybody could see it so well.
And wrestling gets a kind of rap or a stereotype, but you can't take anything away from any of those guys. They're artists out there performing their
Man, they
art
damn sure are.
that they're passionate about.
And listen, of all people, I can tell you right now, I'm still in pain.
Yeah, I was going to
I'm
ask
still
you,
in pain,
how
man.
are your ribs?
I'm still in pain. But if you think that your body doesn't go through a lot in those matches, you're crazy. Because you're constantly falling, you're
Right.
constantly contacting, you're picking each other up, you're moving each other around. I mean, things like what happened to me where I hit the rope,
Yeah.
and I went back. It took me a minute. I went back and I've always struggled to watch myself on
Yeah.
camera.
Right.
I can listen to myself fine, but watching me is a weird thing for me.
I'm
you know?
both. I don't care for my voice or
Yeah.
my image.
But-
here we are sitting doing podcasts.
But so,
Exactly.
I knew that in that match that, and what people wouldn't know is that some things I had planned had to be I guess an audible had to be called.
Right.
Because when I hit that and it hit my rib, I really thought I'd broken a couple ribs. I mean, I lost my breath for a minute and I
Right.
was,
You
I
feel
was
that
struggling a
sharp
little
pain,
bit. Yeah,
yeah.
it was it hurt,
Mhm.
but I knew, hey, the show, you just got to go. Right.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, it was a 20-minute match,
Right.
and it was scheduled for 10. But when I watched it, I finally got the guts to watch it back.
Yeah.
And you know what? While I didn't have high flying moves, I was like, well, it wasn't complete shit.
No,
It
dude,
was a
the
good
main
match.
event-
It was
yeah,
fun.
For sure.
Yeah,
For
we had a
sure.
good time. The crowd was really involved in
For
it.
sure.
The kids were having a good time.
It was hype, dude. It was hype.
It was,
a
man.
blast.
It was a lot of fun. Now, if you haven't seen it, you can go watch the entirety of it. We've clipped some of it down. If you just want to watch my match, you can see that, or you can watch the whole thing. It's about 4 hours.
Yeah.
And we have commentary. We have different commentator tables the whole time, who are just like on any other
dude,
event.
those guys were super entertaining. Anybody, the Dads After Dark over here.
They
on the
were
table,
great.
that's-
J.P. Ford and Eugene Belcourt were
yeah,
great.
dude, they were hilarious.
God, why can't I remember her name? She's so sweet.
And she's funny too.
Yeah, she was hilarious. The commentators who were at our main table, and man, I'd have to look and see. I'm so sorry. I owe you for that. And
Rich too. Rich did a great
when
job.
Rich was in there, Rich killed it, man.
Yeah, dude, you could tell Rich was in his element. He's like, "Oh, this is my shit."
Yeah,
this is my house.
Yeah,
Like,
I
you know
own
what
this
mean?
house. Yeah, no, he ran the house and he
For
did
sure.
a real good
For
job.
sure.
Matt, did you get a chance to see any of it, hear any of it, look at any of it, anything? I know you were at home taking care of some family.
Yeah, I have family. So the original plan was to be here to help Rich out, but I did see some of the clips. I didn't get a chance to watch yours yet. Haven't had because I was waiting for just the clip alone. So is that
Yeah.
up there now?
It is. It
Okay.
is up there now.
So I
Yeah.
want to watch your fight.
Yeah.
Your
No.
wrestle.
You.
Sorry.
So I think
Yeah.
so. I think about it's right about the halfway point, and I don't know if this is when it happened, but I
Okay.
think I've got it to where you hurt your rib.
You probably do.
Yeah.
It may be the halfway point. I don't know the
It's
exact
right
point.
in the
Yeah.
middle of the
Yeah.
right about the halfway
You
point. of the
figured it
match.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. If
'cause
you
I
watch
watched
it,
back.
you can see when if you're really watching it, you can see when
Yeah.
it happens.
Yeah.
You know, because it's clearly it's a hard shot.
And really, I kind of saw it happen live in action because we were right there
Yeah,
at
you
the
were right
corner that I think it happened at, and I was
Yeah.
like, man, that looked like it hurt.
It
You
did.
know, that
It
looked
did.
like that
It did.
knocked the shit out of him.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I'm sure eyes went back in like a shark or rolled
Yeah.
backwards. You know what I mean? It was fairly brutal for me. Yeah, but you know, it was fun, and
Yeah, dude. Again, give it to all those guys. The performers,
I was
yourself, everybody.
I was
Like,
so
it was
impressed
a hell
with
of a show.
the professionalism
Yeah,
that they brought.
100%.
You know, and so that makes me want to continue to help and promote and showcase those guys. So I know that
100%.
we're going to do that. We're going to keep doing it because, man, it's just so amazing and so many cool people, talented people, fun people. You know, just a good time.
Dude, that guy, he brought me in. He brought me in to do a chest chop.
Oh yeah,
And,
yeah.
the other
He was
guy,
going
yeah.
around. That was cool.
Got to be a part of the show.
That was cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got
Yeah.
to beat the poor hapless fool he was beating on, right? That's what happened.
Oh.
Yeah, no. When he did that, I thought, how cool of an interactive idea. You know, you
100%.
got this guy bound up, and you're going around and getting the audience to chop him.
And that was not predetermined at all. That guy pointed to me, and I said,
Yeah,
man,
yeah.
Like, oh, hell
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
let's
let
do
me
it.
get
Let's
in here.
go.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
put some hands on
Right?
somebody right now.
It was
Let me
fun.
put hands on this.
It was fun.
Yeah.
And they did a great job at that. Of course, the physical aspect is fun to watch, and they were all great, but
Mhm.
also the crowd interaction, the evoking emotion from the crowd. You can that's what I'm saying.
No,
like,
I mean when
to
you got
watch them
people
perform.
chanting, and
Yeah.
there were several times through
Yeah,
the night
dude.
or day that they were chanting.
And that was some of the funnest for me
It
to
was.
step back and just kind of watch everybody. And I know
Yeah.
you took that in as well.
I did, man. It was
super good
such
time,
a
man.
joyful experience, and
For sure.
and that's what you know. I feel like sometimes we don't have enough of. You know, it's
Right.
something that's just happy and everybody has a
Positive.
good time, and you don't walk away
Mhm.
saying some shit about it. You know
Right.
what I mean? Going, oh, boy, you know, it's too much, or this
Yeah.
sucks,
Or I
whatever.
mean, and like we said earlier, a 4-hour event on a Saturday. I mean, people got a lot of shit to do, but I'll say
No.
at the end of the event, we had just as many people.
Oh,
you
absolutely.
know,
Most everybody that could stayed till the
Yeah.
end. You
I
know,
mean-
and those guys were so cool to hang out, talk to people, take
Yeah.
pictures. You know, they did
Get in
all
the
of
ring,
that.
play with some kids. After
Yeah,
the show.
they did. They took some
Yeah.
kids in the ring. I mean, it
Yeah.
was just dope, man.
It was
So
cool.
that's great. Well, let's try to do this before we go. Let's see if this is leaving. I don't even know if I can hear it, if it works.
This shit ain't funny.
Yeah.
I got it.
Okay, something then. I might be figuring out the new board here.
Yeah. You know the song, Matt.
I know the song. I heard it now.
I think it's catchy. I don't give a shit, man.
Yeah, hell
I
yeah.
like it.
No, it slaps.
That's good stuff, Luke. That's good stuff, buddy. All right, let's talk about a few things here before we get out of here. These are not good things. None of this is good. It's not. Don't laugh.
Okay.
Okay,
Get it out of your
please. Yeah,
system
just
now.
don't do it. Let's talk about this. Taquan Young. He's a 34-year-old guy from the Bronx. He was walking his dog at the corner of Southern Boulevard and East 178 about 11:30 in the morning. Came across another dog walker. Young's pit bull, Chanel, allegedly began trying to play with the other man's smaller dog. He was on the phone with his wife at the time, and while Chanel was on the leash, the other man's dog wasn't on a leash and approached his pit bull. The interaction angered the man. And Young's recollection of events, he reportedly threatened to cut off Chanel's head. Young then told the newspaper the man pulled out a machete from in his coat. And Young tried to put a hand out to grab the blade, which was over 2 feet long. And that's when he lost nearly all of his fingers. Yeah, he said, I was in disbelief. I knew that the fingers were missing. I knew that, but I
Oh,
didn't
my
want to
God.
look down. He said to the news outlet, rather than helping him, people are all recording it on their phone.
Jesus.
They were just watching, recording it on their phone to post on their websites. They weren't helping me. I'd tell
Wow.
them, call 911. The owner of the store, his son was recording me. That's crazy. The man who wielded the machete fled the scene. Young rushed to the hospital. His dog, Chanel, was uninjured. Only 3 of his 4 fingers were found and reattached to his
Oh.
hand over the course of 13 hours.
Wow.
Man, that's tough right there.
Yeah, that's
Hey, man, you
tough.
got something in that cup?
Yeah, some water. Take
Is
you
it
a sip.
booze?
No booze.
Okay.
H2O, baby. Dude, that kind of scares me because I've had just similar interactions. I have a pit bull, and I feel like any pit bull owners I know are overly cautious because
Yeah.
they do have a pit bull.
Yeah.
You tend to never see one off a leash. Usually a pit bull owner would be pretty, at least I am. And it seems like a lot of other dogs will not be on leashes. And I've had an interaction like that where a dog's ran up on my dog that was leashed and their dog wasn't.
Yeah.
And they kind of felt negative about it. And I was like, well, my dog didn't do anything. My dog was on a leash and your dog ran up on me.
Right.
You know what I mean? I've never had anybody pull a machete out.
No,
because
that's-
there a machete
that's-
involved.
No,
That's
that's
the
crazy.
part
That's what
that
I
he
mean.
had it in
I'm-
his coat.
I'm
Is kind of like
terrified.
maybe he was looking to do something.
Right.
All right. Well, this is let's move on to this, and it's dogs
Okay.
as well. We'll continue down the animal path, but a little different version this
Okay.
time. A dog owner was eaten by her pet pugs. Stop it. Why is it funny? Because she was eaten by pugs after being left to rot for days after dying in her
Yes.
apartment. The scene discovered after Adriana Nego's family raised the alarm. They hadn't heard from her in about 5 days. Very attractive young lady
yeah.
here. Probably inflated her lips a little too much.
Maybe.
Slightly.
Okay,
No,
yeah, that one,
definitely,
yeah, okay,
definitely
yeah.
inflated them too much.
I had
The
to
pug's
get-
gnawed on that for a long
Yeah.
time. The lip part,
Yeah.
yeah. The 34-year-old from Romania had not responded to any calls or messages. So relatives visited the apartment, no response. After alerting police officers and firefighters, they broke down the door and found her half-eaten body on the floor. Her 2 beloved pugs found beside the owner. According to police, they came across the shocking scene along with the person who had called them. So apparently they took the pugs, were removed by workers and taken to a shelter.
Good luck giving those away.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine if you do give them away and you don't tell someone?
Right.
I mean, do you think those pugs are they tainted now?
Dude, I will say, like, if you think that your dog wouldn't do that to you, if you think, no, my dog loves me, if he wouldn't eat
It
me.
would take a while though.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
cat will eat you as soon as
Same
you
day.
die.
Yeah.
Same day.
They'll
Yeah,
start
the
eating
cat'll
you
be
when
all
you
over.
die. I promise you. As soon as you die, they're going to
Yep.
eat you. Yeah, but the pugs, it might take them a day or 2 before they start
Right.
nobbling a little on your nose or your
Yeah.
ears or those big overinflated lips. And,
Yeah.
You know.
They probably lasted a week just on
But they are
those.
going to eat you.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
eventually
they
I
will.
would eat you if I had no other option. I mean,
Yeah,
you
I'm
know,
stuck in this house.
where are you going to start?
Right.
That's the question.
Yeah, that's the question.
Man,
I never had a plan that far out.
Never had, okay, well, that's good. That's good. Well, you'd have a couple days to think about it. I'm sure
Yep.
you wouldn't start eating as
Yeah.
soon as they died.
No.
So here's another story, not animals involved, but
Okay.
a concert in Melbourne, Australia was really bad. It resulted in several fans sustaining injuries after part of the ceiling collapsed. The shocking incident occurred when the band Bad Omen were performing the final track in their set. Confetti cannons fired into the air and appeared to dislodge pieces of the ceiling at Festival Hall, causing several tiles to fall on the unsuspecting crowd below. This sounds like a lawsuit.
Yeah,
Yep.
I'd be getting a check.
Yeah, that definitely sounds like a lawsuit to me. So on Facebook, one fan claimed their friend had been injured. My friend got hit, damage to the hand, maybe broken, fractured fingers. Another fan commented the sister had been hit, nothing broken. Another one said they were bleeding. It had cut them open pretty bad. It was actually really bad. 2 girls dragged out in front of me, one bleeding from the mouth and neck, the other from her knee. And then a bunch of people were hurt as people tried to run and get out because they didn't know what was happening. I do have to admit, you did go to a concert. The name of the band's Bad Omen.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that's
Yeah.
wrong. I know that's wrong. I'm sorry.
I feel like that would freak me out in that sense that at first you don't know what the hell's happening. You think
Well,
something
you could
crazy
think you think
is-
the worst. You think,
Yeah,
is it a
exactly.
terrorist attack? Are we being blown
Exactly.
up? Is there a bomb going off? What's happening?
Right.
It just happened to be the confetti cannon dislodged some ceiling tiles, but
Right.
still.
Yeah, your mind. You're like, I gotta get the hell out of here.
Then your mind goes back to the Great White concert too, though.
Yeah.
The fire.
Maybe they should tour with Nevermind.
Yeah. I will say, if you did realize in the moment, like, oh, it was the confetti cannons, I would lay down right there and not move until I got my check.
Yeah.
From
Oh, yeah.
whoever.
All right. One more here before we get out. Last Wednesday. Hey, there's a positive to this in your
Okay.
technology. Okay.
All right.
Last Wednesday, a backcountry skier rescued in the Cascade Mountains 80 miles east of Seattle, Washington, after falling 1,000 feet. 1,000 feet. Now, stop and think about that. How many feet is a story? 10 feet. That's a 100-story building you just fell off of.
Oh.
100 stories, 1,000 feet fall. That's a
Down a
1/20th of that's a fifth of a mile.
Down a mountain.
Yeah. All right. So, and sustaining a leg injury, he lived.
Wow.
He lived.
Wow.
Fortunately, the SOS feature on the skier's Apple Watch alerted authorities of the incident, prompting the rescue effort, leading authorities to the location. After receiving the distress signal, the county sheriff's office requested assistance from air support. They responded after sunset using a couple choppers to locate and extract the injured skier. Despite limited information on the distress call, they did find and rescue the skier. We don't have any updates on the condition at this time, but the fact that they fell 1,000 feet and lived,
That's wild.
and their watch got them rescued.
I just dug my Apple Watch out of a drawer this week, and I updated it. And when I updated it,
Man, when you started saying I dug it out of, my mind went all kinds of
no.
places, and I was just like, where could it be? I mean, that we're digging out of.
But it gave me a notification on there that said, something along the lines of there's a fall feature or
Yeah.
a low impact feature
Yeah.
that will notify 911. And I thought that was interesting.
It is interesting,
Yeah.
I mean, and
I guess otherwise he'd have been screwed if he wouldn't have had that on.
I suspect he'd be dead.
Yeah.
He'd be a meat sickle,
Mhm.
a human popsicle.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
For the pugs.
And he'd be waiting on the pugs to show up. Yeah, that'd be it. All right. Well, first of all, let me just thank Matt and Bundy for coming
Yeah,
in
of
today
course,
and hanging
of
out
course.
with us
Always
and
fun.
sharing all their insights and their good stuff. Let me thank my guest Scott Edwards for a great interview. Let me thank Brandon. He's an unsung hero, my camera guy.
Good behind the scenes.
Brandon does so much for us. He does so much technical work, so much on our blog, so much on our videos. Dude gets up every day, and doesn't ask anything of us.
Right.
He just loves being part of it.
Hey,
and,
shout out Brandon, dude. I appreciate
and he's
it.
a hero.
Thanks, Brandon.
He does all the camera work. And so thank you, Brandon, so much. Thank you to Gunner for, even when our board goes out, somehow keeping us operational,
Yeah,
even
hell
if we're down to 2 mics right now.
We made it work. It was a good show.
He made it work, and I appreciate him for that. But mostly, as always, thank you guys for being the greatest audience, the greatest people on the planet. Please keep spreading the word and keep sharing it. We were out. I will say this about Ark and Brawl. The streams across sources were over 8,000
Hell yeah.
streaming the
A lot
event
of eyes.
live. That's a lot of people, man, to be honest with you, on any event. So thank you. You guys are everything to us. We appreciate it. We never take it for granted.
Yeah,
And we'll
thank
see
you
you
guys.
tomorrow. All right?
See ya.
Later on.